Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales. Chapter 4057. What's this token? Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue's eyes lit up when they saw the thing in Kong Xinmu's hand. They felt that Kong Xinmu seemed to have anticipated this situation. This is an identification token of a force in the northern Chill Dragon country. Kong Xinmu explained in a low voice. He had kept this token on him for a long time. It was dropped by the group of Northern Chill Dragon Country's military warriors he had killed after leaving the Dragon's Sealing Abyss. At that time, he had asked Qi Tian to appear and kill the group of dragon warriors. Later, he had seen this thing in the snow and knew that it was an identification token of the Northern Chill Dragon Country's military. Although it was only a token of a small soldier, it was still useful now. As long as he had this token, he could disguise himself as a member of the Northern Chill Dragon Country's military. I'll go out first. You guys stay here and wait for me to deal with those guys. Kong Xinmu instructed the two girls and then left the ice cave in the valley. He hung the military identity token on his waist and walked out. Soon, he saw that the middle-aged woman who looked a bit like Wei Binghai was being attacked by two Northern Chill Dragon Country's dragon warriors on the glacial plain in front of him. The two dragon warriors were both at the 5th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. When they joined forces, they weren't any weaker than the middle-aged woman. Of course, it wasn't that easy to kill the other party. The middle-aged woman from the Wei clan's mansion was fighting and retreating at the same time. At the same time, she was paying attention to the situation in other places. It was obvious that her two companions were also entangled and couldn't get away for a while. Just as they were in a deadlock, Kong Xinmu appeared. "Brat, how dare you show up?" The middle-aged woman saw Jiang Xinwu's figure with a single glance and was instantly stunned. After that, she roared furiously. She didn't expect that Jiang Xinwu would still dare to appear at this moment. Is he courting death? After all, with Kong Xinmu's identity, whether it was the three of them or the Northern Chill Dragon Country's dragon warriors, they would definitely kill him if they saw him. Did he really think that they were busy fighting and didn't have time to deal with him? Kong Xinmu smiled faintly and caressed the identity token of the Northern Chill Dragon Country on his waist. Immediately, he saw that the two Northern Chill Dragon Country dragon warriors had a look of understanding in their eyes. As soon as they saw the token, they knew that Kong Xinmu was a member of the Northern Chill Dragon Country's military. As for the roar of the ice divine dragon that the middle-aged woman had transformed into, they only thought that they, the dragon warriors of the military, had offended this woman from the Dragon Emperor dynasty. They didn't think about anything else. The three of them chased me all the way here. Thank you for saving me. Now, let's join hands and eliminate them. The credit will naturally belong to you. As Kong Xinmu spoke, he transformed into a pitch-black divine dragon and prepared to restrain the middle-aged woman who had transformed into an ice divine dragon. Sure, you can restrain her from the side. One of the Northern Chill Dragon Country's ice divine dragon looked at Kong Xinmu in surprise. He was a little surprised by his actions. He didn't expect that a mere divine Vein Realm dragon warrior would dare to interfere in a battle between Nirvana Tribulation Realm dragon warriors. This situation was extremely unbelievable to the middle-aged woman. She widened her eyes as if she was in a dream. Why didn't these guys from the Northern Chill Dragon Country kill this brat? Instead, they agreed to let him restrain her. Suddenly, she thought of a possibility, and her divine dragon eyes darkened. You're actually a spy from the Northern Chill Dragon Country. Only now did she understand why Kong Xinmu had lured them all the way here. She didn't expect that he had lured them into a trap. Kong Xinmu couldn't be bothered to care about what she was thinking. After transforming into a black dragon, the heavenly sacred halberd kept emitting golden halberds that swept towards the other party. At the same time, the shadow dragon Fang kept raining down on the middle-aged woman who had transformed into an ice divine dragon. Although Kong Xinmu was a black dragon, he had an identity token from the military, so the two Northern Chill Dragon Country dragon warriors in front of him didn't suspect his identity. Moreover, the combat power that Kang Shinmu had displayed had far exceeded the standard of a divine martial realm dragon warrior. He had at least reached the strength of a Nirvana Tribulation Realm dragon warrior. Since he was so powerful, it was obvious that he wasn't a simple figure in the military. This made them want to quickly get rid of him and ask about Kang Shinmu's identity. Under Kang Shinmu's restraint, the middle-aged woman who had transformed into an ice divine dragon had no choice but to focus part of her attention on defending against him. Although she kept roaring angrily, she couldn't do anything. She was constantly attacked by the other two, and soon, she was at a disadvantage. Wounds kept appearing on her body. This situation caused Jiang Shenwu's eyes to emit a flicker of light. It's time. The devouring talent power in his body condensed into many pitch-black dragon fangs, which continuously rained down on the injured dragon body of his opponent, aiming at the wounds on her body. These wounds were caused by the dragon warriors of the Northern Chill Dragon Country, but to Jiang Shenwu, they were things that allowed him to unleash his strongest power. Soon, several pitch-black dragon fangs eroded into the other party's body, and the devouring power that was condensed within them quickly circulated throughout her body. The other party's heart and other vital parts, including her meridians and blood vessels, were all blocked. His devouring power couldn't enter, but the devouring power could still continuously devour the life, flesh, and essence in her body, turning it into Kang Shinmu's own life force. At this moment, Kang Shinmu could already feel that the injured ice divine dragon's power was being devoured by him. Moreover, the two Northern Chill Dragon Country dragon warriors also increased the intensity of their attacks, causing the middle-aged woman, who had transformed into a divine dragon, to roar angrily. However, there was nothing she could do. She wanted to escape, but the terrifying power of ice turned into an ice prison that descended from the sky, enveloping her entire divine dragon body. She couldn't escape. You're courting death. The middle-aged woman roared angrily. Using all the strength in her body, she actually condensed a small ice bird. This ice bird seemed to carry some kind of message and directly escaped from the ice prison. It flew at an extremely shocking speed into the sky, away from the Northern Chill Dragon Country's territory. Seeing this, Kang Shinmu immediately narrowed his eyes. He recognized this ice bird. It was an ice messenger bird, which definitely contained some kind of message to inform the Yen Dragon Emperor of his whereabouts. It was obvious that this middle-aged woman was not willing to die here just like that. Even before her death, she wanted Kang Shinmu to not be able to return to the Yen Dragon Emperor's court. Obviously, Kang Shinmu couldn't let the other party succeed. I have to chase after that ice bird. I'll tell you in detail later. My duties in the military are confidential. I can't let that ice bird fly into the Yen Dragon Emperor's court. Kang Shinmu flew up immediately. This was an excellent opportunity for him to get rid of the other party. After all, if he waited for the middle-aged woman to be completely killed before he left, he probably wouldn't be able to leave. If the other party asked him in detail, he might very well expose himself. All right. Chapter 4058. Jiang Shenwu executed the Grade 2 Movement Dragon Martial Technique, Extreme Shadow Flowing Light, and finally caught up to the messenger ice bird, completely devouring it. The middle-aged woman from the Wei clan wanted to send a message, but Kang Shinmu stopped her in time. Afterwards, he did not return to the place where the two sides had fought. Instead, he returned to the ice cave in the valley where he had been hiding, and had Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue follow him as they left as quickly as possible. He also told the two of them about what had just happened. You actually disguised yourself as someone from the Northern Chill Dragon Country's military. The two women covered their mouths in shock. They hadn't expected him to have such a trick up his sleeve. My interference put the Wei clan's person at a disadvantage. I believe that she will be killed by the Northern Chill Dragon Country's dragon warriors very soon. Once she dies, the other two will not survive either. Kang Shinmu quickly returned to the clouds with the two women and continued flying into the depths of the Arctic snow mountain. The black dragon consciousness in his body gave him a relatively strong perception. If there was an existence that was too strong, they would directly avoid it. If there was a small group of Northern Chill Dragon Country's dragon warriors that could deal with them, they would go down and eliminate them as quickly as possible. This battle was a training experience for Kang Shinmu and a great opportunity to increase his combat strength. He could easily kill the Northern Chill Dragon Country's dragon warriors who were several levels above him. After all, the other party mostly used the power of ice, and Kang Shinmu's resistance to the power of ice had reached a terrifying level. Occasionally, he would encounter Northern Chill Dragon Country's dragon warriors of other attributes, but Kang Shinmu could act according to his own strength. Half a month later, Kang Shinmu brought the two women back to Dragon Ice City for the first time to resupply. At the same time, he brought back dozens of Frost Dragon crystals. Frost Dragon crystals were crystals condensed from the bodies of Ice attribute dragon warriors after they died. Bringing back Frost Dragon crystals proved that they had killed a large number of Northern Chill Dragon Country's dragon warriors and could be exchanged for war points. When he returned to Dragon Ice City, Kang Shinmu heard that the Wei clan had lost 3 high-level Nirvana Tribulation Realm dragon martial artists not long ago. They must be the 3 middle-aged women who had been lured into the depths by Kang Shinmu to be killed. After receiving this news, Jiang Shenwu heaved a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that the other party would run away and come back, accusing him of being a spy sent by the Northern Chill Dragon Country. It wasn't impossible, but the possibility was extremely low. Kang Shinmu had only dared to return to Dragon Ice City to exchange for war points after confirming that he wasn't a spy. The dozens of Frost Dragon crystals all had different strengths. They represented the Northern Chill Dragon Country's dragon warriors they had killed, ranging from the 4th tier of the Divine Martial Realm to the 2nd tier of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. As for the 3rd tier of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, it wasn't that Kang Shinmu couldn't beat them. However, even if they fought, it would cause quite a commotion. If other dragon warriors from the Northern Chill Dragon Country were attracted, he would be finished. Therefore, when they met, Kang Shinmu would directly avoid them and not be discovered. With the Black Dragon's consciousness, his perception range was wider than other dragon warriors. This also guaranteed his basic safety when moving around the Arctic snow mountain. Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue followed him and continuously trained themselves in this war. After half a month, they had finally improved and broken through to the 6th tier of the Divine Martial Realm. Their overall strength had become even stronger. This way, with the two of them restraining Kang Shinmu, the success rate of dealing with the Northern Chill Dragon Country's 3rd tier Nirvana Tribulation Realm dragon warriors was much higher. Of course, under normal circumstances, Kang Shinmu still wasn't willing to provoke them. After all, killing an opponent of this level wouldn't give him many war points. There was no need to take the risk. For Kang Shinmu, although it was to train himself, his life was still the most important. He couldn't casually provoke a difficult opponent. In Dragon Ice City, there were already countless dragon warriors from the Yen Dragon Emperor's empire gathered to participate in this war against the Northern Chill Dragon Country. For the sake of war points, the dragon warriors all rubbed their palms together and attacked with all their might. This made it impossible for the Northern Chill Dragon Country to invade the Dragon Ice region where Dragon Ice City was located. After all, this was the Yen Dragon Emperor's empire's resistance. The Yen Dragon Army, which belonged to the Yen Dragon Emperor, had also sent a branch over. In the Yen Dragon Army, every dragon warrior was at least a Nirvana Tribulation cultivator. When they worked together, their combat power was even more terrifying. The team leaders were all Reincarnation Tribulation cultivators who had surpassed the Nirvana Tribulation realm, let alone the team leaders, who were even comparable to the Dragon King. With such existences on the battlefield, the dragon warriors of the northern Chill Dragon country were immediately forced to retreat. Although there were also powerful cultivators in the northern Chill Dragon country's military, the gap was too big. As for the northern Chill Dragon army, which was directly under the Dragon Emperor, they didn't participate in this war in the early stages. But after the Yen Dragon army participated, the northern Chill Dragon army finally appeared. This war was moving in a direction that ordinary dragon warriors couldn't control. Because of this, Kang Xinmu returned with the two girls. He didn't plan to continue, otherwise, he might lose his life. This time, the northern Chill Dragon army had sent out hundreds of dragon warriors. Any one of them could easily kill Kang Xinmu, so there was no need for Kang Xinmu to join in the fun. The wandering dragon warriors all retreated from the battlefield. Those who were still alive submitted their cold dragon crystals or fire dragon crystals. As long as it was a dragon crystal that could prove that they were dragon warriors of the northern Chill Dragon country, they could use it to exchange for war points. Our war points can be exchanged for a dragon-grade dragon weapon and 2 grade 3 dragon martial techniques. Kang Xinmu quickly distributed the rewards. Jiang Liuxue, since you don't have a dragon weapon yet, you can choose a dragon weapon. Shi Yueying and I will each choose a 3rd grade dragon technique. Okay. Jiang Liuxue nodded. She was a little touched. Among the 3 items, it was obvious that the dragon-level dragon weapon was the most valuable, but Jiang Shenwu had given it to her directly. This made her a little excited. A dragon weapon was not a treasure that an ordinary dragon warrior of the divine martial realm could obtain. It was a super treasure that the entire Jiang tribe didn't have. It could obviously increase the battle power of a dragon warrior. If it could be fused with a dragon weapon, like Kang Xinmu, the power that could be released would be even more terrifying, exceeding the power that could be released with their current cultivation. Kang Xinmu didn't think too much about it. Anyway, the 2 girls would be fighting together with him, so increasing their strength was equivalent to increasing Kang Xinmu's strength. Chapter 4059. After choosing something from the Dragon Ice City's stronghold, Kang Xinmu left with the 2 girls and returned to an inn to rest. From the stronghold, Jiang Liuxue chose a dragon-grade weapon called Dark Shadow Blazing Arrow. Actually, Kang Xinmu had obtained a dragon-grade weapon of the fire attribute before, which was Xia Lai's blazing dragon sword from the Xia clan's residence. However, he could not take it out so easily, or others would find out that he was the one who killed Xia Lai. Right now, he did not have the ability to confront the Xia clan's residents directly, so the fact that he had killed Xia Lai must not be exposed. After obtaining the Dark Shadow Blazing Arrow, Jiang Liuxue began to familiarize herself with this dragon-grade weapon. If she could familiarize herself with its power, it would obviously increase her battle prowess. At the very least, her battle prowess would be 1 level higher than before. As for Kang Xinmu and Shi Yueying, they each chose a 3rd grade dragon skill. Kang Xinmu chose a special dragon skill, which strengthened the divine dragon sense of smell. It was called Mysterious Dragon Seeking Shadow, and it could sense the surrounding environment through its sense of smell. The higher the level of comprehension, the greater the range of perception. To Jiang Shenwu, his current attack-type dragon martial technique, defense-type dragon martial technique, agility-type dragon martial technique, and body-tempering-type dragon martial technique were all more or less cultivated. If he wanted to improve, cultivating the other grade 3 dragon martial techniques would not be of any use. Therefore, he chose a special dragon skill to strengthen his ability to adapt to the environment. After cultivating the Mysterious Dragon Seeking Shadow, Kang Xinmu's sense of smell would be improved. Even if he had just finished cultivating it, he would be able to smell the situation within a 10-mile radius. If there were other dragon warriors, if there were any dangers, he would be able to better detect them. Combined with the Black Dragon's consciousness, he would be able to move freely in dangerous environments with ease. As for Shi Yueying, she chose a defensive dragon skill, which was also of the 3rd grade. She planned to cultivate it after returning. In the following period of time, Kang Xinmu did not plan to go out to do anything. He only planned to cultivate the mysterious dragon seeking shadow. However, on this day, trouble came knocking on his door. Xia Yueyin, the son of sacred dragon Xia Yan and the elder brother of Xia Lai, who had been killed by Kang Xinmu, learned of Kang Xinmu's return and immediately brought people to Xia Yueyin's place. "Where's Kang Xinmu? Get him out here." Xia Yueyin arrived at the inn where Kang Xinmu was staying. Then, she ordered a few people behind her to go and find him. Following behind him were the dragon warriors from the dragon prison domain, including the Meng tribal clan, Zong tribal clan, etc. Now they were scattered, hoping to find Kang Xinmu and company upstairs. At this time, the inn's housekeeper and waiters obviously didn't dare to say anything. In the face of the trouble caused by the dragon martial artist, they could only keep quiet out of fear. After all, they were just ordinary people, and the dragon martial artist was a powerful existence that controlled their life and death. Keep the change. At this time, Kang Xinmu's figure appeared upstairs. He looked down coldly. "Why are you looking for me?" "Humph, I thought you would be a cowardly tortoise, not daring to come out." Xia Yueyin was an elegant young master dressed in a silk robe. At this moment, his eyes revealed a barely suppressed anger. "Back then, you left Dragon Ice City with my younger brother, Xia Lai. Other than that, there were also a few friends from the Meng tribal clan and Zong tribal clan. Now that you have returned, where are they?" "Oh. Why didn't I know that they left with me?" A cold light flashed in Kang Xinmu's eyes. He knew that the other party had come because of Xia Lai's disappearance. By saying this, he obviously knew that Xia Lai had brought Meng Chou, Zhang Feng and Gu Taifeng, a total of 4 people, to chase after Kang Xinmu. Now that they had not returned and they couldn't find any traces of them, they could only come to interrogate Kang Xinmu. Unfortunately, how could Kang Xinmu admit to this? "Humph, do you still want to quibble?" Meng tribal clan's Meng Tianqing was infuriated. He glared at Kang Xinmu. Many people clearly saw it. "Back then, you took the 2 girls and left Dragon Ice City with Xia Lai to head for the Northern Chill Dragon Country battlefield. Now that things have come to this, you still dare to quibble? Come with us." Xia Yueyin snorted. "You have to tell us the reason for Xia Lai's disappearance. If not, we will treat you as their murderer." "What a joke. What right do you have to take me away?" Kang Xinmu squinted his eyes. "I did not see Xia Lai and the rest. Do you want to force me to admit it? That is the truth. You cannot quibble." Xia Yueyin snorted and waved his hand, signaling the people behind him to take action. "You dare?" Kang Xinmu saw that Meng Tianqing, Zhang Shijian, and the rest behind him wanted to take action. Immediately, a cold aura emanated from his body. A terrifying aura enveloped the entire inn. "We just returned from the battlefield and killed dozens of Northern Chill Dragon Country experts. We just came back, and now we are going to be taken away by our own people? This is too ridiculous. If you dare to take action, I will go to the Fire Dragon Army and ask if this is reasonable." The aura that erupted from his body made Meng Tianqing, Zhang Shijian, and the rest not dare to move. They were deeply afraid of him. Especially what he said. If this matter was brought to the Fire Dragon Army, they would definitely be in the wrong. This was because they knew that Xia Lai had followed Kang Xinmu out to kill Kang Xinmu. In the end, he did not return. In this matter, Kang Xinmu could be absolved of any wrongdoing. And if they really wanted to take action against Kang Xinmu, they might even be accused by him. If Xia Lai wanted to take action against him, the Fire Dragon Army might have a bad impression of the Xia family residence. This would be a huge blow to the entire Xia family residence. "Then I will wait for you to rest for a few days. At that time, do you dare to accept my challenge? Xiaofan suppressed the urge to take Kang Xinmu away by force. His eyes shone with a fierce light as he challenged Kang Xinmu. Why should I accept your challenge? Kang Xinmu snorted and waved his hand. He returned to his room and continued to comprehend the mysterious dragon-seeking shadow, a third-grade dragon martial technique. Seeing that Kang Xinmu was completely indifferent to his challenge, Xiaofan was about to go crazy. Although he did not know the specific situation, he was sure that Xia Lai's disappearance was definitely related to Kang Xinmu. Since he is not willing to come out, let's go find evidence. Maybe this brat colluded with the people of the Northern Chill Dragon country and secretly attacked my brother. If that is the case, this person should be cut into pieces and die a horrible death. Xiaofan looked at the door that Kang Xinmu had closed. Apart from coldness, there was also a hint of malice in his eyes. Chapter 40-60. Kang Xinmu sensed Xiaofan's departure, but he did not relax. He looked out of the window of the inn and could see Xiaofan leading Meng Tianqing, Zhang Shijian, and the others away. A cold look appeared in his eyes. He knew that this group of people would not leave the matter at that. I don't know what they are going to do, but they will most likely frame me and find so-called evidence. The most likely is to forge evidence of my contact with the Northern Chill Dragon country to frame me for colluding with the Northern Chill Dragon country to frame and kill his brother, Xia Lai. Kang Xinmu thought deeply about what he would do if he were in Xiaofan's position, so he came to this conclusion. It would not be difficult for Xiaofan to frame someone for colluding with the Northern Chill Dragon country. If he waited until Xiaofan had arranged everything and came to him, Kang Xinmu would have no way out. The other party would definitely have arranged everything and would not give Kang Xinmu any chance to refute. I have to make the first move, but I am still too weak. I am not Xia Lai's match. Kang Xinmu was expressionless as he thought about something. He quickly made a decision and prepared to leave Dragon Ice City. Naturally, he was careful not to be discovered by anyone. He only left a note for Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue, saying that he would be leaving for 7 days. Then, he went to a secluded place near the Dragon Ice Canyon and took out the blood-red dragon scale that belonged to the heaven-opening demonic dragon. He planned to take advantage of this time to raise his cultivation level. Otherwise, he would not be confident of defeating Xiaofan, and he would not be able to make the first move to deal with Xiaofan. He would definitely be discovered when he left Dragon Ice City, but he would not be able to find Kang Xinmu's whereabouts. Soon, Qi Tian appeared from the space-time gate and brought Kang Xinmu back to the heaven-opening demon realm from the Dragon Ice Canyon. Master, you've returned in less than a month. What's the reason for that? Qi Tian transformed into his human form and respectfully bowed to Kang Xinmu. He could still sense the black dragon's consciousness in Kang Xinmu's body, and he could sense that the black dragon's consciousness seemed to be clearer than before. This powerful existence seemed to be accumulating and recovering power in Kang Xinmu's body, waiting for the day when it would rise again. How many precious materials have you prepared over the past 10 days? Bring them all to me. I need to absorb them and use them to advance my cultivation level. Kang Xinmu's eyes were indifferent, and Qi Tian couldn't see anything. Qi Tian looked at him, wanting to find something in his eyes. Unfortunately, Kang Xinmu's eyes were so clear that he couldn't see anything. He couldn't help being a bit startled. Even if this brat didn't have the black dragon's will in his body, he still wasn't an ordinary person. He was actually able to hide his own thoughts and emotions in front of him. Yes, my lord. Qi Tian bowed and answered. Then he turned around and took out all the precious materials he had obtained during this period of time. Kang Xinmu stayed in a palace in the heaven-opening demon realm, absorbing the precious materials. These precious materials were collected by Qi Tian during this period of time. The quantity was less than before. He thought that it would be a bit difficult for him to break through to the 8th level of the divine martial realm, so he let Qi Tian continue to search for them. No demonic beast dared to disturb him in the palace of the heaven-opening demon realm. One by one, the treasures were completely devoured by his devouring power into his body and turned into the power of his bloodline. If these precious materials were refined into elixirs and then consumed, the improvement would definitely be greater. However, Kang Xinmu didn't have the time to refine these precious materials into elixirs. Moreover, he had the devouring power. With this kind of talent, he could completely devour the energy contained in these precious materials without wasting a single bit. Even if others refined heaven and earth treasures into elixirs, the final absorption effect would not be as good as Jiang Shenwu directly devouring these heaven and earth treasures. Therefore, with just these few precious materials, Kang Xinmu easily rose to the peak of the 7th level of the divine martial realm. Unfortunately, after Qi Tian summoned another heavenly treasure for him, he stood guard outside the palace and told him that the nearby heavenly treasures had all been harvested recently. Even in the heaven-awakening demon realm, where there were no dragon martial artists, if one wanted to obtain more heavenly treasures, they had to go further, to the periphery of the heaven-awakening demon realm. The periphery of the heaven-opening demon realm was relatively far from here. If he didn't consume energy to condense a space-time gate, it would waste a lot of time. In this regard, Kang Xinmu also shook his head and didn't force Qi Tian. Anyway, he was now at the peak of the 7th level of the divine martial realm, just a little bit more and he could break through to the 8th level. This little bit could be used to forcibly break through after devouring the heaven and earth spiritual qi. But it could also be comprehensions in battle, such as fighting with life and death, and so on. For Kang Xinmu, time was of the essence now. It was enough to reach the peak of the 7th level of the divine martial realm. Okay, send me back. Kang Xinmu didn't make things difficult for Qi Tian and let him directly send him back. Then, Kang Xinmu appeared alone in the Dragon Ice Canyon. When he left the Dragon Ice City, he had accepted a Demon Hunter mission from the Demon Hunters Association. At this moment, he stepped into the Dragon Ice Canyon and killed a few demonic beasts. He took their demon cores to prove that he had been hunting demonic beasts in the Dragon Ice Canyon for the past few days. Then, he returned to Dragon Ice City, and after returning to the Demon Hunters Association to submit the mission, he went straight to the place where the Fire Dragon Army was. The Fire Dragon Army was now stationed in Dragon Ice City, and they specialized in handling the disputes between the dragon warriors who came to participate in the war. Therefore, Kang Xinmu struck first to gain the upper hand. He wanted to expose Xia Lai's crime of bringing people to kill him. When Kang Xinmu returned to Dragon Ice City, he didn't find any trace of Xia Yuan. After he successfully cultivated the mysterious dragon seeking shadow, he had already memorized Xia Yuan's scent. He found that Xia Yuan should have brought others away from Dragon Ice City during this period of time, and he didn't know what method they had thought of to deal with him. However, Kang Xinmu didn't care too much. Now that he struck first, he could completely kill the other party's idea in the cradle. Xia family residence, since you want to lay your hands on me, then prepare to be destroyed. Kang Xinmu had already stepped into the Fire Dragon Army and submitted an application for investigation. Soon, he met one of the people in charge of the Fire Dragon Army's affairs in Dragon Ice City. Chapter 4061. You're saying that after you left the city, you were hunted down by the Xia family? One of the people in charge of the Yen Dragon Army stationed in Longbing City met with Jiang Shenwu. After listening to his words, he raised such a question. That's right. If I remember correctly, that guy should be called Xia Lai. However, my companions and I resisted with our lives and finally beat him back. Kang Xinmu said calmly, and after I returned, his brother Xia Yuan even threatened me to reveal Xia Lai's whereabouts. How would I know where Xia Lai went? They were clearly the ones who attacked me first, but now they're asking me to take responsibility. This is ridiculous. Who would have thought that in the Flaming Dragon Emperor's empire, there would be people who would dare to do such a thing? Don't worry, I'll immediately send people to investigate this Xia family residence. The person in charge took this matter seriously. One had to know that the Flaming Dragon Emperor's empire was at a critical moment in its war against the Northern Frost Dragon country. They had never seen anyone attack their own people at this time. Whether it had never happened or they never knew about it, they needed to use this opportunity to warn others. The Xia family manor was nothing to the Yen Dragon army. Therefore, using them as an example to the rest of the Yen Dragon army was not a problem at all. Thank you, sir. Kang Xinmu said respectfully. No problem. Since you've encountered such a thing, why don't you rest here for a while so that they won't find trouble with you again? The person in charge said to him. I have 2 friends who also experienced this incident. I wonder if they can come with me. No problem, let them come and rest. Wait until we find the Xia family mansion. I hope you can come forward and testify for us. Kang Xinmu brought Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue to the Yen Dragon army's encampment for the time being. This period of time would not be long, at most 3 days, at least 2 days. Unless Xia Yueying was dead, there was no way she could escape the Yen Dragon army's pursuit. Sure enough, 2 days later, the Flame Dragon army sent someone to summon Kang Xinmu to confront Xia Yueying. It seems that Xia Yueying was forging evidence of my collusion with the Northern Frost Dragon nation outside the city. However, he was caught before he could complete it. This is the advantage of striking first. If I waited for him to complete his arrangements, I would never be able to make a comeback. Kang Xinmu's eyes shone with shrewdness as he led the 2 girls to the Yen Dragon Legion's main hall. Xia Yueying, Meng Tianqing, and Zhang Shijian were all captured. At this moment, he was sitting in the office, waiting for something. When they saw Kang Xinmu and the others coming over, Xia Yueying and the other 2 immediately showed anger in their eyes. Among them, Xia Yueying stood up and said, "Shameless traitor, you dare to blame us? You deserve to die. You're the ones who should die, right?" Kang Xinmu said calmly, "I don't know how I've offended you. Perhaps you saw that I had a dragon-grade dragon weapon, so you wanted to attack me? Bullshit, when did we attack you?" Xia Yueying snorted angrily, "We only suspect that you are colluding with the Northern Frost Dragon nation and are spies sent by them. My brother Xia Lai was secretly killed by you. Otherwise, with your strength, how could you kill my brother? You're saying that I colluded with the Northern Frost Dragon nation and had them kill your brother Xia Lai?" Kang Xinmu asked in return. The 2 quarreled as soon as they met, giving the person in charge a headache. However, he didn't stop the 2 because he was also a little confused about this matter. Kang Xinmu first came to complain, saying that the Xia clan wanted to attack him. However, when Xia Yueying was brought back, she said that she was looking for evidence of Kang Xinmu colluding with the Northern Frost Dragon nation. Whether it was Kang Xinmu saying that the Xia clan had attacked their own people, or Xia Yueying saying that Kang Xinmu had colluded with the Northern Frost Dragon nation, this was unacceptable to the Yen Dragon army. Therefore, they had to investigate thoroughly and make sure that they didn't make a wrong judgment. Now that Kang Xinmu and Xia Yueying were quarreling, he might be able to get some clues from them. In the Yen Dragon army's main hall, Kang Xinmu and Xia Yueying confronted each other, attracting the attention of many dragon warriors in the main hall. Among them, there were even some stronger dragon warriors who were attracted to this scene. Among them, there were also people from the Wei clan residents who were working here. That person, isn't that the kid who defeated Wei Binghai? I think his name is Kang Xinmu. A middle-aged man from the Wei clan residents glanced at Kang Xinmu and smiled faintly. "Why are you arguing with the Xia clan residents now? You may not know, but before this Kang Xinmu came to Longbing City, he was born in the Dragon Prison City. When he was in Dragon Prison City, he had some conflicts with the Xia clan residents and killed one of the divine dragon Xia Yan's sons. Someone beside him immediately explained to him. Some of the forces in Longbing City had already investigated Kong Shinmu's matters. After all, he had a conflict with the Wei clan residents and defeated Wei Binghai. At such a young age, he was able to defeat Wei Binghai. His cultivation talent was clearly extraordinary. It was very likely that such a genius would be noticed by others. In the hall, Kong Shinmu and Xia Yueyin were still confronting each other. Hearing Kong Shinmu's question, Xia Yueyin nodded his head as if it was a matter of fact. Isn't it so? If it wasn't for the help of those bastards from the Northern Frost Dragon country, how could you have killed my brother? My brother is a genius in the 8th layer of the Divine Martial Realm. He has cultivated a 3rd-grade dragon martial skill and is about to reach the heaven level. Moreover, he has a dragon-level dragon weapon. How could a country bumpkin like you compare to him? The Wei clan residence's genius, Wei Binghai, is also in the 8th layer of the Divine Martial Realm. However, he lost to me before. Comparing your brother to Wei Binghai, is there anything special about him? Kong Shinmu coldly harumphed and said the truth. Xia Yueyin frowned slightly. He didn't know about this matter. That brat Kong Shinmu actually challenged the Wei clan residence's genius, Wei Binghai, and actually won. After he came over, he had participated in the war against the Northern Frost Dragon country. Later, when he found out that his brother was missing, he threw himself into the process of dealing with Kong Shinmu. He really didn't investigate what Kong Shinmu had done before. Even if you can defeat Wei Binghai, you can't kill him. In the wild, defeating and killing are two completely different concepts. Chapter 4062. Meng Tianqing's words were very misleading. Once Kong Shinmu admitted that he killed Xia Lai and the other 3, then Kong Shinmu would not be able to explain himself. No matter how the conflict started, as long as Kong Shinmu killed Xia Lai and the other 3, then Kong Shinmu would have to bear the responsibility. However, it was obvious that Jiang Shenwu would not be led into a trap so easily. He glanced at Meng Tianqing and said indifferently, Shi Yueying, Jiang Liuxue, and I worked together to defeat Xia Lai and the others, but we didn't kill them. Instead, we left and continued to kill people from the Northern Chill Dragon country. As for what happened to them in the end, I don't know either. At that time, those 2 girls were only at the 5th level of the God Martial Realm, right? Compared to Xia Lai, who was at the 8th level of the God Martial Realm, they were insignificant. Even if the 2 of them worked together, you would not be able to escape. Xia Yueyin said in a deep voice, do you dare to fight with me? If you defeat me, I will not trouble you anymore and admit that you defeated my brother. But if you lose, it will prove that you did not have the ability to defeat my brother and that you definitely had the help of the Northern Chill Dragon country. This was Xia Yueyin's goal. He wanted to fight with Kong Shinmu and then kill Kong Shinmu during the fight. The Fire Dragon army could not defend a dead man. Moreover, if he killed Xia Lai during the fight, they could just say that it was an accident. Xia Yueyin didn't think that he could kill Xia Lai with one move. Although he could not find evidence that Kong Shinmu killed Xia Lai, nor did he have time to prove that Kong Shinmu colluded with the Northern Chill Dragon country, he had to avenge Xia Lai and his brother. This was the goal of this fight. You want to fight with me? You are at the peak of the 9th level of the God Martial Realm. You almost reached the Nirvana Tribulation. Kong Shinmu laughed and said, I can't beat you, but that doesn't mean I can't beat your brother. What makes you think that I colluded with the people from the Northern Chill Dragon country to kill your brother? You might not know. Xia Yueyin was prepared for this. He looked around and said hatefully, my brother's cultivation talent is higher than mine. When he was at the 8th level of the God Martial Realm, he could fight me to a draw when I was at the 9th level of the God Martial Realm. It was the same in the past. His cultivation level was one level lower than mine, but his battle prowess was similar to mine. Everyone in the Xia mansion can testify to this. Kang Xinmu, say it again, do you dare to fight me? Since that's the case, it seems like I have no other choice. Kang Xinmu shrugged his shoulders and said helplessly. In fact, he had long since anticipated that there would be such a battle. That was why he had returned to the Heaven Awakening Demon Realm to consume some natural treasures to reach the peak of the 7th level of the Divine Martial Realm. Although he hadn't broken through, he didn't have enough time. If he had stayed any longer, Xia Yueyin would have forged evidence of him colluding with the Northern Chill Dragon country. At that time, he wouldn't even have the chance to fight. It wasn't the first time that Kang Xinmu had to fight a descendant of the Xia mansion. Xia Tianhan had died at his hands before, and he had won the dragon-grade halberd of the Heavenly Sage, causing the Xia mansion to lose the dragon-grade halberd of the Heavenly Sage. The Ice Yuan spirit wheel was now in Shi Yueying's hands. Therefore, Kang Xinmu had long since prepared to fight Xia Yueyin. He had killed Xia Lai, so Xia Yueyin would naturally come looking for him. Now, the sacred dragon Xia Yan and the other sacred dragon experts had been sent out to fight in the Northern Chill Dragon country. They didn't have time to come back, so the grudges between the younger generation could only be resolved by themselves. Otherwise, Xia Yueyin wouldn't have the chance to avenge Xia Lai. Since that's the case, you two fight. We will consider the situation and judge Kang Xinmu's battle prowess. The person in charge of the Flame Dragon army said coldly. Although the situation wasn't clear, one thing was certain. Xia Lai had led people to surround and kill Kang Xinmu. Kang Xinmu had returned to hand over many frost dragon crystals. It was clear that he had killed many of the Northern Chill Dragon country's dragon warriors. Such a minor hero was an important existence to the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty. That Xia mansion had actually sent people to surround and kill Kang Xinmu. Of course, the current matter was whether Xia Lai had been killed by Kang Xinmu, and whether Kang Xinmu had colluded with the Northern Chill Dragon country. Since Xia Yueyin had made such accusations against Kang Xinmu, the Flame Dragon army wouldn't be biased towards Kang Xinmu. Therefore, they had to take this into consideration. If Kang Xinmu's battle prowess was too weak, he wouldn't be Xia Yueyin's match at all. Perhaps there was something fishy about Kang Xinmu being able to resist Xia Lai's attack. No matter what, the battle between Kang Xinmu and Xia Yueyin had to take place. The Flame Dragon army provided them with a venue. They had prepared a wide training ground in the Flame Dragon army's camp. Following that, Jiang Shenwu proceeded alone. As for Xia Yueyin's side, she brought Meng Tianqing and Zhang Shijian with her. Meng Tianqing and Zhang Shijian were also there to cheer them on. Of course, Kang Xinmu didn't care about Meng Tianqing and Zhang Shijian at all. To him, those who had lost to him in the past didn't even have the right to lose to him in the future. It was impossible for them to catch up. The gap between them would only widen. Get on the stage and get ready. A few people in charge of the Flame Dragon army had come. This matter involved the death of the Xia family's son. It might even involve spies from the Northern Chill Dragon country. Therefore, they had to handle it seriously. Kang Xinmu and Xia Yueyin went up to the training ground. The training ground was very wide. It had a radius of hundreds of meters. Both of them were inheritors of the Heavenly Dragon's essence blood. Only such a spacious arena could accommodate their duel. Not only that, but the arena might not be big enough. However, there was a protective barrier around the arena. Their power would not spill out of the arena and harm others. You're dead. Xia Yueyin stared at Kang Xinmu. After he went on stage, he took a corner and was ready to attack at any time. There was a strong killing intent in his eyes. Clearly, he planned to kill Kang Xinmu on the training ground. Kang Xinmu also had a serious look in his eyes. Xia Yuan's talent was not the power of ice, nor was it the power of fire like Xia Li's. Instead, it was the power of the hidden moon. It was different from the talent of ordinary dragon martial artists. Therefore, Kang Xinmu had never seen it before. He wasn't sure if he could withstand his opponent's attack. However, this was also a form of training for him. He wasn't afraid. Chapter 4063. If Xia Yuan was too weak, Kang Xinmu would not even need to break through to kill him. This was not what Kang Xinmu wanted. If he could not be forced to break through in battle, then he would need to swallow even more heavenly resources, or even a huge amount of heavenly resources, to forcibly break through. For him, this was really too wasteful. Even the heaven-opening demon realm could not afford to waste so many heavenly resources. Therefore, he now hoped that Xia Yuan could be stronger and not disappoint him. Let's begin. With the command of the Fire Dragon Army's commander, Kang Xinmu and Xia Yuan both transformed into their dragon forms at almost the same time. A pitch-black dragon suddenly appeared on the platform. With a roar, it rose into the sky. As for the light blue divine dragon that Xia Yuan had transformed into, it was over 300 meters long. Its eyes carried a wisp of a mysterious dark blue, and its entire body emanated a mysterious glow. In practically just a moment, its divine dragon body actually began to fade, and in less than 5 breaths of time, it actually vanished completely from the battlefield. This is hidden moon power. Everyone was shocked. This was the power of the hidden moon. In the entire Fire Dragon dynasty, it was rare to have such a talent. Dragon martial artists who possessed the power of the hidden moon were excellent patrols. Especially in a war like this with the Northern Chill Dragon country, its usefulness was obvious. However, Xia Yuan did not participate in the war with the Northern Chill Dragon country. Instead, he was thinking about the cause of his brother's death. He had wasted so much time dealing with Kang Xinmu. This made many people in the Fire Dragon army feel a little dissatisfied with him. However, they did not dare to say anything. After all, he had the ability and what he wanted to do. That was his freedom. Xia Yuan had hidden moon power, but he did not participate in the war. They could not do anything about it. At this moment, Kang Xinmu was alone in the field. Seeing that his opponent's divine dragon body was about to disappear from the arena, he subconsciously unleashed the Shadow Dragon Fang transformation, raining down on the place where his opponent had disappeared. Countless pitch-black dragon teeth bombarded the defensive barrier at the edge of the arena in the next moment. It was clear that Xia Yuan had transformed into a divine dragon and left her original location after concealing herself. He must be waiting to find my weakness and want to kill me in one blow. Jiang Shenwu, who had transformed into a pitch-black divine dragon, soared through the air as he tried to guess his opponent's plan. He had never met an opponent with the power of the hidden moon. Therefore, now that he was 2 levels lower than his opponent, he was at a considerable disadvantage. Otherwise, he would be undefeatable just by relying on the magic crystal, a body-refining dragon technique. As long as his opponent appeared and could not kill him, he would be exposed, and would be held back by Kang Xinmu. So now, Xia Yuan only had one chance. With Xia Yuan's level of cultivation, if he used the dragon-grade dragon weapon and cultivated a higher level of a 3rd-grade dragon technique, he could really kill Kang Xinmu in one blow. While Kang Xinmu was off guard, before he could use his defense, it was very likely that his opponent would succeed. Rather than waiting for you to come out and launch a sneak attack, I might as well show my weakness and lure you out. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. He planned to show some weakness and lure Xia Yuan out to launch a sneak attack. Of course, this weakness could not be too obvious, or else his opponent might not fall for it. As a result, Jiang Shenwu started to gather pitch-black devouring power towards the empty space in front of him. The devouring power transformed into pitch-black dragon fangs and shot towards the empty space, bombarding the defensive barrier in the surroundings. All of this was useless, but when Kang Shinmu used Shadow Dragon Teeth, the changes in his aura would definitely not escape his opponent's eyes. When the Shadow Dragon Teeth had just been used, it was very difficult for him to defend himself. This was a weakness that he had deliberately revealed. If he revealed a weakness once, his opponent might not dare to attack, but as long as Kang Shinmu continued to reveal the same weakness, his opponent might not be able to endure it and attack Kang Shinmu. However, Xia Yuan's patience exceeded Kang Shinmu's expectations. Even if Kang Shinmu constantly revealed weaknesses, and had used Shadow Dragon Teeth 4 or 5 times, his opponent showed no signs of attacking. Instead, it was Kang Shinmu who was getting a bit impatient. This Xia Yuan was too disgusting. If they had not met in such an environment, but in the wild, this Xia Yuan would be 100 times more difficult to deal with than his younger brother Xia Lai. If he wanted to escape, no one could stop him. Unless it was someone with relatively strong perception, they would be able to sense Xia Yuan who had hidden himself. Of course, if it was a Nirvana Tribulation Realm Dragon Martial Practitioner, they might be able to sense his presence through his aura. It was just that the current Kang Shinmu did not have this ability. If he doesn't come out, what should I do? Kang Shinmu was a bit irritated, but he forced himself to calm down, constantly paying attention to his surroundings. Although everything was empty, he knew that Xia Yuan's hidden lunar divine dragon was hiding in the surrounding air, ready to launch a fatal blow at him at any time. He stopped using Shadow Dragon Teeth to attack his opponent, because all of this was useless, and would instead waste the power in his body. It was very likely that Xia Yuan wanted to hide himself, and wait until Kang Shinmu was exhausted before attacking. At that time, no matter what he did to Kang Shinmu would not be able to resist at all. In a short time, half of the power in Kang Shinmu's body had been used up, and his opponent had not revealed any weaknesses. It was as if Kang Shinmu was the only one on the entire martial arts arena. This Xia Yuan, is he planning to keep holding back until he exhausts his strength? Such methods and temperament are not bad, to be able to endure until now. If he didn't provoke others, he would have launched a sneak attack long ago. Perhaps he also knows that if he attacks at the beginning of the fight, his opponent will easily sense it and be on guard, so he's waiting for Kang Shinmu to lose his patience. He's a qualified hunter. However, this Jiang Shenwu seems to be a little impatient. It's also possible that he's purposely revealing a flaw in order to lure his opponent out. No matter what, his cultivation is 2 levels lower, and he's at a slight disadvantage in the battle. Many people in the Fire Dragon army started discussing and speculating about the temperaments of the 2 people on the field. Although it was a fight, with the existence of the hidden moon power, this was a test of the 2's temperaments. It did not require much in terms of direct combat ability. Of course, if the difference in direct combat ability was too great, Xia Yuan would not need to use these methods, and would directly attack Kang Shinmu. From this, it could be seen that Xia Yuan was still wary of Kang Shinmu's power. He was afraid that he would fall into Kang Shinmu's trap and be killed by Kang Shinmu instead. On the martial arts arena, Xia Yuan still did not appear, and the situation was in a stalemate. At this moment, Jiang Shenwu's heart had calmed down, and he closed his divine dragon eyes. If his opponent did not appear, he would rest. If his opponent appeared, he would immediately counterattack. Chapter 4064. The silhouette of a divine dragon gradually appeared in front of Kang Shinmu's eyes. The silhouette was shrouded in a faint layer of black mist. This was the vision that appeared in his eyes. This stunned Kang Shinmu. Could it be that this was where Xia Yuan, who had activated the power of the hidden moon, was hiding? Now, he could actually see the hidden Xia Yuan. He discovered that the silhouette of the divine dragon, shrouded in a faint black fog, was hiding in a corner of the martial arts arena, curled up together. From the looks of it, unless Jiang Shenwu's attack reached him, he would not move at all. Jiang Shenwu recalled for a moment. Just now, his attack had indeed landed here, but it should have been dodged by this fellow. Could my eyes be affected by the black dragon's consciousness in my body, allowing me to see the hidden Xia Yuan? The power of the hidden moon doesn't seem to have any concealment effect on me. Kang Xinmu thought. He was rather surprised. He had not expected the black dragon's consciousness in his body to be so powerful. Although it might not be due to this, other than the black dragon's consciousness, Kang Xinmu could not think of anything else that could change his eyes and allow him to vaguely see the hidden divine dragon's body. But since he had already caught sight of his opponent's figure, it meant that in this battle, Kang Xinmu had obtained an absolute victory. Because his opponent still did not know that Kang Xinmu could see his figure. So, Kang Xinmu could completely use a diversion to catch Xia Yuan off guard. If that's the case, I'll make my move. Kang Xinmu's eyes of the divine dragon did not show any strange expression, in case Xia Yuan discovered it in advance. However, he quickly gathered the power in his body, preparing to attack as quickly as possible. Shadow Dragon Fang. In order to prevent his opponent from discovering any clues, Jiang Shenwu continued to use the third-grade dragon martial skill to confuse his opponent and attack towards his opponent's current location. However, the strength of the attack was not high, so as to create the illusion that he was only casually attacking in that direction. As expected, Xia Yuan moved quietly when he saw this. He did not move very quickly, probably to prevent Kang Xinmu from noticing his movements. However, it was just enough to completely avoid Kang Xinmu's Shadow Dragon Fang attack. As Xia Yuan's dragon body shifted to the side and continued to hide, Kang Xinmu knew that it was time for him to truly attack. His opponent had just avoided his seemingly casual attack and was now in his most relaxed state. After all, when Kang Xinmu attacked before, he could not continuously attack in close directions. His opponent would never think that Kang Xinmu would continue to attack where he was. So, immediately after, Kang Xinmu's body flashed with gold light. Countless golden halberds appeared in the sky beside him, accompanied by countless shadow dragon fangs. In an instant, they covered the sky and swept towards Xia Yuan's position. This scene caused Xia Yuan's expression to change slightly. Feeling the power contained in Kang Xinmu's attack this time, stronger than any of his previous attacks, Xia Yuan knew that his concealment had been exposed. However, he was confused. How had he been exposed? Could it be that Kang Xinmu had some sort of detection ability? He was confused. He had investigated that not long ago, Kang Xinmu had exchanged for a third-grade dragon technique from the Fire Dragon Army, the mysterious dragon seeking shadow. He could use his sense of smell to capture his surroundings. However, his hidden moon power could even completely conceal his scent. Where did I expose myself? Xia Yuan thought, gritting his teeth. However, he did not have time to think deeply. Because of the sudden attack, even if he had sensed something was wrong and wanted to dodge, he could not have done it. Even if he flew away as fast as he could, a large portion of his dragon tail was still covered by Kang Xinmu's attack. Break! At this time, a ray of silver light suddenly flashed from Xia Yuan's dragon body, shooting out from the dragon's tail. It immediately blocked all of Kang Xinmu's attacks, and the power of both sides exploded. Kang Xinmu's expression changed slightly. As expected, this guy still had a trick up his sleeve. Dragon-level dragon weapon. He looked closely and saw that the flashing silver light was a few rays of silver sword qi gathered together. It was similar to Xia Lai's fire dragon sword, but Xia Yuan's dragon-level dragon weapon was not of the fire attribute, but of the star attribute. When Kang Xinmu saw this silver sword qi, he knew that it contained the power of the star attribute, and breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. In that case, the power of the hidden moon should also be of the star attribute. Kang Shinmu calmed down a little, and his whole body sped toward his opponent, his 100 Zhonglong dragon body wrapping around his opponent. Seeking death. Seeing this, Xia Yueyin snorted. His silver dragon body flew toward Kang Shinmu, silver sword chi flashing all over his body. Once he collided with Kang Shinmu would definitely be heavily injured. However, this was only what he thought. Dragon Martial God Shield. The moment the two sides collided, a layer of the Dragon Martial God Shield formed around Kang Shinmu's body with pitch-black power. The extremely strong defensive ability blocked all of his opponent's silver sword chi. This is a second-grade Dragon Martial skill. Xia Yueyin was a little surprised, but he quickly reacted. He had previously investigated that Kang Shinmu seemed to have redeemed a second-grade Dragon Martial skill from the Demon Hunters Union, but he did not expect it to be a defensive second-grade Dragon Martial skill. This made him look down on Kang Shinmu a little. The only second-grade Dragon Martial skill you know is a defensive one. Are you really that afraid of death? Xia Yueyin snorted coldly, and the silver sword chi continued to roar, like a surging wave, surging forward violently. The Dragon Martial God Shield was completely covered by the opponent's silver sword chi. At this moment, Kang Shinmu took the opportunity to use the pitch-black devouring power to condense more shadow dragon teeth, and attacked the opponent's dragon body continuously. The opponent's silver sword chi not only had offensive power, but also defensive power. Under the silver light, Kang Shinmu's attacks were basically ineffective, and he could not leave any wounds on the opponent's dragon body. But at this moment, the Dragon Martial God Shield formed by Kang Shinmu's pitch-black devouring power was quietly absorbing his opponent's power. The power contained in the opponent's silver sword chi was constantly being devoured by Kang Shinmu. This allowed Kang Shinmu to recover some of the power he had previously consumed. As long as you can't kill me in one go, then you've already lost half of this battle. It's just a matter of time. Kang Shinmu snorted coldly, and his devouring power suddenly erupted, and he was completely engaged in a chaotic battle with his opponent. I have good news for everyone. The mobile version of Skyswallowing Chronicles will be in closed beta today. Those who want to play this premium mobile game in advance, please open WeChat, click Add as a friend, click on the official account, search for Feng Qingyang, and after following, the main menu below will have the words Game Download. Click on it, and you'll be able to download it for free. Chapter 4065. The devouring power continued to spread in the field. Soon, Xia Yueyin could no longer hide his divine dragon body, and was completely enveloped by the devouring power. The silver sword chi that swept out from his body could not do much damage to Kang Shinmu. Second-grade defensive dragon technique. Xia Yueyin's face was extremely gloomy, and there was some hesitation in his divine dragon eyes. He did not expect that Kang Shinmu would have a second-grade defensive dragon technique, and when he used it, even he could not break his defense. Instead, he was enveloped by the devouring power. He could feel that the devouring power surrounding the divine dragon body was constantly trying to devour the power in his body. However, he had completely defended himself, so it could not devour the power in his body. It could only devour a little of the silver sword chi that he released. If it continued like this, Xia Yueyin realized that he might not be able to do anything to Kang Shinmu. How is this possible? This boy is only at the 7th level of the divine martial realm. Even if he is about to break through, it is impossible for him to block the attack of the 9th level of the divine martial realm. Xia Yueyin found it hard to understand, but he could see that a considerable part of Kang Shinmu's energy was focused on defense. Not only did he practice the second-grade defensive dragon technique, but he also practiced the third-grade body refining dragon technique. He quickly understood that what Kang Shinmu did was obviously to coordinate with his devouring power, so that he could maximize the effect of the devouring power. As long as he did not die, he could rely on the devouring power to recover, weaken his opponent, and finally defeat his opponent. Although it was Xia Yuan's first time fighting with Kang Xinmu, he quickly figured out Kang Xinmu's fighting style and rhythm. However, figuring out his fighting style was one thing, and using it to deal with Kang Xinmu was another. It was almost impossible to kill Kang Xinmu with the power that Xia Yuan had shown. Kang Xinmu's defense was really impenetrable, and Xia Yuan's third-grade dragon martial technique could not break through Kang Xinmu's defense. Even when she used her dragon-grade dragon weapon, she still could not break through Kang Xinmu's defense. If that's the case, Xia Yuan's dragon eyes kept flashing with silver light. The silver sword energies suddenly carried his dragon body out of the devouring power and broke a hole in the black devouring power. Then, his divine dragon form turned invisible once again. Clearly, he was trying to see if it was a coincidence that Kang Xinmu was able to discover his tracks just now. However, as Kang Xinmu flew out, the devouring power in his body continued to erupt. Phantom Dragon Tooth Transformation. Countless phantom dragon teeth continued to sweep towards where Xia Yuan was, and they kept attacking the same spot. This way, he could break through his opponent's defense quickly. As long as his opponent was slightly injured, Kang Xinmu could take advantage of the situation and use the devouring power to corrode his opponent's flesh and blood essence. But clearly, Xia Yuan did not relax at all. He would not let him succeed so easily. Sword Chi Concealment. A third-grade dragon technique was cast in Xia Yuan's hands. Countless strands of sword chi appeared on his dragon body flying in the air, but they disappeared as soon as they appeared. No one knew where the sword chi went. It's an attack dragon technique that can conceal itself. Kang Xinmu's expression froze. But now that his eyes had evolved, he could see Xia Yuan, who had hidden himself. Naturally, he could see the invisible silver sword energies. In the next moment, shadow dragon fangs condensed on his body one after another, sweeping out in some strange directions in midair. Very soon, they collided with the invisible sword chi, shattering all of the sword chi in midair. Although Kang Xinmu could only see the silhouette of the sword energies in his divine dragon eyes, it was enough for him to block the opponent's move. Activating the martial dragon shield consumed too much of his energy. If he could avoid activating the martial dragon shield, he would definitely save some of his energy. The spectators only saw Xia Yuan use the sword chi concealment dragon technique. The sword energies disappeared as soon as they formed in front of him. Then, Kang Xinmu released Phantom Dragon Tooth Transformation into the air, using the Phantom Dragon Teeth to fight against the silver sword energies. A terrifying vortex of power exploded in midair, sending both of them flying backward. Xia Yuan's technique is really powerful. He can actually make the sword energies hide. But that Kang Xinmu is even more powerful. I don't know what's going on, but he can actually see the traces of the hidden sword energies. Even a Nirvana realm expert like me can't see through the invisible sword energies. I didn't expect Kang Xinmu to be able to see through them. I wonder what special ability he has. Seeing this, everyone immediately started discussing. To them, Kang Xinmu and Xia Yuan weren't very strong. After all, there were many Nirvana realm experts among them, and there were even existences that surpassed the Nirvana realm who were watching this battle. But most of them couldn't see the sword energies that Xia Yuan had condensed clearly. No one knew how Kang Xinmu, who was facing Xia Yuan's attack, could see through Xia Yuan's attack. Xia Yuan's expression changed slightly. He now knew that Kang Xinmu definitely had the ability to see through his invisibility. Although he didn't know how, his invisibility ability was definitely useless against Kang Xinmu. That's the only way. True sword energies hidden. Seeing that this move was useless against Kang Xinmu, Xia Yuan snorted coldly. His entire dragon form suddenly erupted with terrifying power. Countless sword energies appeared in the surroundings, and then they once again concealed their traces, making it impossible for others to catch the traces of these sword energies. It seemed similar to the previous move, just that the sword energies concealed their traces, and then secretly attacked the opponent. However, Jiang Shenwu abruptly became vigilant because he knew that his opponent would absolutely not execute the same move. That would be utterly useless against him, and it would instead exhaust his own innate talent, causing him to be powerless in the future. But I have to block this move, Kang Shinmu snorted coldly, and his devouring power condensed again. Shadow dragon fangs appeared in the field, continuously sweeping towards the sword energies that his opponent had concealed. Each shadow dragon fang could destroy an invisible sword energy, making it impossible for his opponent to cause any harm to Kang Shinmu. But very quickly, Kang Shinmu felt that something was wrong. This situation isn't right. It seems like I've unknowingly fallen into an illusion. Kang Shinmu suddenly became alert. Let me tell you a piece of good news. The mobile version of Skyswallowing Chronicles will be deleted today for closed beta testing. Students who want to play this premium mobile game in advance, please open WeChat, click on Add Friends, click on the official account, search for Feng Qingyang, and after following, there will be Game Download in the main menu below. Click on it, and you will be able to download it for free. Chapter 4066. Illusion. Xia Yueyin actually cultivated the Mirage Dragon Martial technique. This was something Jiang Shenwu did not expect. However, it was not too late when he thought of this. He looked around and saw that the invisible sword qi seemed to have broken through his shadow dragon fangs and landed on his body, leaving cuts on his body. Although this scene brought him pain, and it was no different from the pain he felt in reality, he knew very well that all of this was an illusion, because it was impossible for the other party's sword qi to instantly break through his shadow dragon fang transformation and strike him. Moreover, he had subconsciously used the martial dragon shield, only to discover that it seemed to have been penetrated. It's all an illusion. Kang Shinmu quickly realized this and activated the devouring power in his body, causing a purple magical crystal to appear on the surface of his body and the martial dragon shield to expand as much as possible. Although he was trapped in an illusion, he could still control the power in his body and use some techniques. Humph, you're already trapped in an illusion, you have no idea where my attack is coming from. Die. Xia Yueyin looked at the black dragon in front of him from afar, his silver eyes revealing a bloodthirsty color. All of a sudden, the hidden moon force in his body transformed into crescent-shaped sword qi, and from different directions, they continuously slashed at the pitch-black divine dragon that Jiang Shenwu had transformed into. Although Jiang Shenwu had already used the martial dragon shield, this dragon martial skill consumed a lot of power, and could not be maintained for a long time. Die. The crescent-shaped sword qi descended from the sky and surged toward Kang Shinmu from all directions. The martial dragon shield around the black dragon was soon riddled with holes. Although the holes were quickly mended, it consumed a lot of the devouring power in Kang Shinmu's body. Moreover, Kang Shinmu couldn't recover by devouring the hidden moon power in the illusion. This put Kang Shinmu at a disadvantage very quickly. Soon, the holes on the martial dragon shield couldn't be mended anymore, and Xia Yueyin seized the opportunity. Hidden sword qi. Strands of invisible sword qi suddenly swept into the martial dragon shield and landed on the purple magic crystals on the surface of Jiang Shenwu's body. Then, the sword qi shattered the purple magic crystals. Ah! Kang Shinmu couldn't help but let out a groan. If he suffered such an injury under normal circumstances, he wouldn't even frown. But now that he was in an illusion, this illusion seemed to not only interfere with his consciousness, but also increase his sense of pain by several times. Hence, even though his magic crystal had only shattered and some minor injuries had appeared on his body, Kang Shinmu groaned in pain. Where is it? He waited for a pair of black dragon eyes to look around, but found that he seemed to be in a sky full of clouds. Everything around him was white. Not just Xiaofan, even the spectators outside the arena had disappeared. He could only feel the pain of being injured from all over his body. He endured it with tenacity and tried to see through this layer of illusion. If he didn't break the illusion, he couldn't fight Xiaofan at all. At that moment, Jiang Shenwu felt a tearing pain coming from his divine dragon body. However, when he lowered his head to look, he could not see what was wrong with his divine dragon body, nor could he see where the problem was. At this moment, he didn't prepare anything like a sky phase core to recover from his injuries. So unless he could find Xiaofan, he would definitely die if this continued. I thought I could be invincible with my devouring power. Now it seems that there are many kinds of dragon martial artists in this world, and it's entirely possible that my devouring power can be completely suppressed. But not only did Kang Xinmu endure the pain, but he also widened his eyes and gritted his teeth. He knew that he would die if this went on, so he might as well completely let go of his defenses and let his opponent deal a fatal blow. Kang Xinmu was gambling. He was gambling that the black dragon consciousness in his body would definitely act when he faced death. Moreover, this didn't require the black dragon consciousness to act too strongly. It only needed to affect Kang Xinmu's senses a little, just like how his eyes evolved and he could see Xiaofan's hidden figure. Now he needed to see through the illusion in front of him. Come on! With a roar from Kang Xinmu, the purple magic crystal, the golden light of the heavenly sacred halberd, the dragon martial god's shield, and all other defensive means were automatically peeled off, as if a layer of eggshell had been removed. His entire dragon body entered a defenseless state. This scene immediately surprised the dragon martial artists who were watching the battle around the martial arts practice field. What's wrong with this kid? He suddenly let go of his defenses. Is he giving up and accepting his fate? Impossible. He didn't fight back when he was attacked just now. Something must have gone wrong. It looks like he's in an illusion. Or, is he deliberately showing a flaw to Xiaofan and see if he dares to take the chance to attack? The crowd began to discuss. At this moment, Xiaofan was clearly hesitating. A hint of hesitation appeared in his silver eyes. He was also not sure whether Kang Xinmu had really given up or was deliberately showing a flaw to lure him into launching a fatal blow. This kid won't give up just like that. If his devouring power continues to develop, he will definitely become a super expert in the Yen Dragon Emperor's court. With such a future, how could he give up and willingly die here? If that's the case, then he's luring me to launch a fatal blow and ambushing me when I'm unprepared. So, this kid has already broken free from the illusion of sword chi concealing? Xiaofan thought about it and decided to continue attacking. But at the same time, he paid more attention to his defense. Kill. Streaks of silver sword chi did not hide themselves. They swept towards where Kang Xinmu was, and the terrifying penetrative power landed on Kang Xinmu's black dragon body. It even pierced several holes in the black dragon body. However, because Xiaofan's attention was focused on defending against Kang Xinmu's sudden attack, this attack was not particularly fatal. It was just a little more damaging than before. This also made Kang Xinmu feel endless pain. His dragon body was pierced by a few streaks of sword chi. Dragon blood sprayed out continuously. Fresh blood quickly sprayed down from mid-air, landing on the arena. However, at the same time, he suddenly widened his eyes. The body of the pitch-black mystical dragon suddenly burst forth. The extreme pain caused by the sword chi piercing his body caused the black dragon consciousness in his body to finally react. At this moment, Kang Xinmu's body suddenly trembled. The scene in front of him became clear. He had finally broken free from the illusion. Not only that, he felt the talent power in his body begin to boil. The essence blood of the divine dragon in his body began to surge like boiling water. After the bloodline of the black dragon body was pierced, the power became even more intense. Like a flood, like a waterfall, the boiling blood penetrated Kang Shinmu's entire black dragon body. Then, with an angry roar, the terrifying power turned into a shocking aura and exploded instantly. The 8th tier of the divine martial realm. Since the battle with Xia Yueyin until now, Kang Shinmu's cultivation realm had finally broken through. Let me tell you a piece of good news. The mobile version of Sky Swallowing Chronicles will be deleted for internal testing today. Students who want to play this super premium mobile game in advance, please open WeChat, click to add friends, click on the official account, search for Feng Qingyang. After you follow, the main menu below will have the words Game Download. Click on it and follow the instructions to download it for free. Chapter 4067. As Kang Shinmu broke through, his aura rose, and Xia Yueyin's expression changed slightly. At this moment, a terrifying aura appeared from the black dragon that Kang Shinmu had transformed into, and then Kang Shinmu's eyes flashed with a bright and strange light. The silver hidden moon dragon that Xia Yueyin had transformed into was reflected in his eyes, and seemed a little small. I see it. Kang Shinmu growled. At this time, not only had he broken through to the 8th tier of the divine martial realm, but the black dragon consciousness in his body had also evolved his eyes again. Not only could he see through things that were invisible, but he could also see through illusions. From now on, no power like illusions would be able to affect him. The black dragon body that he had transformed into moved forward, and suddenly swept toward Xia Yueyin. Extreme shadow flowing light. Kang Shinmu used this third-grade dragon martial technique, and his entire dragon body seemed to transform into an extreme shadow flowing light, flashing through the air. Before Xia Yueyin could react, Kang Shinmu was already at his side, and the halberd of the heavenly sage and the shadow dragon teeth came crashing down. At this moment, he had broken through to the 8th tier of the divine martial realm, and the devouring power in his body had almost doubled. The dragon-grade dragon weapon and the second-grade dragon martial technique that had been cultivated to the dragon-grade were used together, and together with the devouring power that had doubled, Xia Yueyin was immediately pierced through several wounds. He was riddled with wounds, and dragon blood splattered everywhere. The devouring power took advantage of the situation and quickly invaded his body through several of his wounds. Xia Yueyin finally reacted. He had just focused on attacking, wanting to get rid of Kang Shinmu in one fell swoop, but the result was that Kang Shinmu's breakthrough had disrupted his plan. Kang Shinmu's speed was simply too fast. As soon as he broke through, he turned into a beam of light and attacked. He didn't even have the chance to defend or dodge. For a moment, he fell into an irreversible disadvantage. As Kang Shinmu's devouring power invaded his body, the essence of his flesh and blood, as well as the power of the hidden moon, were all devoured by Kang Shinmu. The power that Kang Shinmu had consumed and the injuries he had suffered were all restored at this moment. As for the hidden lunar mystical dragon that Xia Yueyin had transformed into, it let out an angry roar and tried to break free from Kang Shinmu's restraints. However, Kang Shinmu would not let go of his mystical dragon body no matter what. Even though the power of the hidden moon constantly transformed into sword chi that landed on his body, cutting deep wounds on his body, he did not relax at all. Because as long as he could entangle Xia Yueyin, he could endlessly devour her flesh and blood essence to heal himself. Kang Shinmu did not hesitate at all. His devouring power exploded. As long as Xia Yueyin left a wound on his body, he would be able to heal the wound in the next 3 breaths. Although this process was very painful, as long as he could win and keep his life, it would all be worth it. This kind of pain was not enough to make Kang Shinmu stop. When the spectators saw this, they were all shocked. They did not think that Kang Shinmu could really turn defeat into victory. He broke through at the last moment and suppressed Xia Yueyin with his aura. He immediately put Xia Yueyin at a disadvantage. Most importantly, Kang Xinmu's body kept being cut, but he did not care. This kind of endurance made countless people around him respect him. At the very least, if it were them, they probably would not be able to endure this pain for too long. However, Jiang Xinwu persisted, not relaxing at all. Under such circumstances, Xia Yueyin had already fallen into a disadvantageous position. Moreover, the power in her body was growing weaker and weaker, and so was her aura. Xia Yueyin wanted to admit defeat, but when he thought that his brother must have been killed by this kid, a trace of unwillingness appeared in his eyes. His dragon-grade dragon weapon was now entangled by Kang Xinmu's heavenly halberd and could not help him. What should I do? What should I do? Xia Yueyin's dragon eyes were full of anger and unwillingness, but he felt the power in his body constantly draining away. Even his aura was getting weaker and weaker. He could not believe that he was really being suppressed by this kid. If this went on, he would only be left with a dead end. Xia Yueyin used all his remaining strength to break free from Kang Xinmu's restraints. But he could not break free before, let alone now. His aura and power were less than half of what they had been at the beginning. And even though Kang Xinmu was constantly being cut by him, he would quickly recover to his peak state and devour Xia Yueyin's power. Die. This word suddenly appeared in Xia Yueyin's mind, and the fear of this word made a hint of retreat appear in his eyes. Only by staying alive could he avenge his brother. Otherwise, if he and his brother died together in this kid's hands, who would avenge them? His father? Right now, his father, Holy Dragon Xia Yan, was still on the battlefield and could not return. This period of time was definitely enough for Kang Xinmu to escape. Xia Yueyin kept finding reasons for his retreat, and very soon, he roared and admitted defeat. I admit defeat. His voice was extremely weak, but this was the training field where the Flame Dragon Army was stationed. The people in charge of the Flame Dragon Army would certainly be able to hear him. Hearing Xia Yueyin admit defeat, the people of the Flame Dragon Army waved their hands to stop the battle. That's enough. That's enough. Since Jiang Xinwu has obtained victory in this duel, it proves that he had the ability to escape from Xia Yueyin's younger brother, Xia Lai. As for how Xia Lai disappeared, we will definitely investigate it thoroughly. Now, this duel is over. Xia Yueyin's accusation against Jiang Xinwu is invalid. The person in charge of the Flame Dragon Army quickly stepped forward to speak. When Kang Xinmu heard this, he naturally could not kill Xia Yueyin anymore. But one day, he would take back the pain he had just suffered. Let's go. When Kang Xinmu flew back from the training field, he heard a crash. Xia Yueyin's dragon body fell powerlessly to the ground of the training field. Very quickly, someone went up to treat him, but Kang Xinmu could not be bothered. Anyway, this guy would not die. Soon, Kang Xinmu returned to the inn where Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue were staying and saw the two women. We heard about the battle at the camp of the Flame Dragon Army. Kang Xinmu, I didn't expect you to break through to the 8th tier of the divine martial arts realm so quickly. At this speed, I'm afraid it won't be long before you are ready to pass the Nirvana tribulation, right? Jiang Liuxue was a little emotional. Once upon a time, she and Kang Xinmu were in the same batch of awakened dragon warriors. At that time, Kang Xinmu was only an ordinary dragon who inherited the essence blood. In the blink of an eye, Kang Xinmu became an inheritor of the essence blood of the heavenly dragon, just like her, and his cultivation was several tiers higher than hers. This made Jiang Liuxue feel emotional. This weekend, he was going to go crazy. He was going to have another explosive update of the sky-swallowing game. Activity details: Open Weibo, search for Feng Qingyang's Weibo, Feng Qingyang 17K, remember to add 17K, only those with a verified account are me. Click, follow, find Feng Qingyang's latest Weibo post about the sky-swallowing game, and click, forward. By 2400 hours on the 23rd, that is, tomorrow at 0:00 p.m. if the total number of forwards exceeds 1000 today and tomorrow, on the morning of the 24th, 6 chapters will be released. Chapter 4068. In the past, Jiang Liuxue would never have thought that a genius like Xia Yueyin would lose to a member of the Jiang clan. In the great Jiang Dragon City, besides Jiang Zizai, there had never been an expert as talented as Xia Yueyin. She never thought that Kang Xinmu would be able to do this. Not enough. Kang Xinmu shook his head at Jiang Liuxue, his eyes filled with determination. Such an achievement was far from enough for Kang Xinmu. He had only dealt with Xia Yueyin, a junior of the Xia clan. This was far from saving his father. On this continent, even the strongest Yen Dragon Emperor would not be able to save his father. Therefore, he had to surpass the Yen Dragon Emperor. However, to reach this level, he would need a lot of effort and time. And what he lacked the most was time. Now that he had defeated Xia Yueyin, he would not let it go. It was very possible that he would do something behind his back. Kang Xinmu could not be on guard. Let's continue to the battlefield. Jiang Xinwu said to the two girls, as long as we have enough battle merits, we will be valued by the Yen Dragon Army. The more the Yen Dragon Army values us, the more important the Xia clan residence is to me, the more obvious it is to the Yen Dragon Army. Jiang Liuxue and Shi Yueying looked at each other and nodded matter-of-factly. Now, no matter what Kang Xinmu said, they would not go against it. Ever since they had come to Dragon Ice City with Kang Xinmu, Shi Yueying had obtained 2 Grade 3 Dragon Martial Techniques, and Jiang Liuxue had obtained a Grade 3 Dragon Martial Technique, as well as a dragon-level weapon, the Dark Shadow Blazing Arrow. Moreover, their cultivation levels had increased, and their battle power was constantly rising. Compared to the time in the Dragon Prison Domain, they were much stronger. Shi Yueying, in particular, had inherited the Ice Divine Dragon blood from an ordinary true dragon. But now, she had completely awakened into a Pentapex Dark Ice Dragon. This was the strongest of all the Ice Attribute Divine Dragon blood. In that case, let's go. Shi Yueying nodded her head at Jiang Xinwu. She had been practicing the 3rd grade Dragon Martial Technique that she had just obtained. Now, she had reached the human realm. If she wanted to improve further, she would not be able to do it behind closed doors. She had to go out and experience actual combat. At the same time, they also needed war points to exchange for some cultivation pills. Right now, they could see their own shortcomings. In terms of dragon martial skill and dragon weapon, they were already ahead of their peers. However, their cultivation realm was still not too strong. If they could obtain some battle merits, what they needed the most right now was to exchange for cultivation pellets. For Kang Xinmu, he did not need cultivation pellets. As long as he went back to the Heaven Awakening Demon Realm, he would be able to obtain a huge amount of natural treasures. The Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon would collect them for him. Basically, no dragon warrior would enter the Heaven Awakening Demon Realm, so those natural treasures were useless to the demon beasts. They could be found all over the mountains and plains. But for Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue, they did not have such conditions. Therefore, they needed battle merits to exchange for cultivation pellets so that their cultivation realm could be further improved. The two women had already exchanged the battle merits they had obtained for some cultivation pellets. Now they were in the 6th level of the Divine Martial Realm, and they had already consolidated their cultivation for some time. If they exchanged for some cultivation pellets, they might be able to advance toward the 7th level of the Divine Martial Realm. In the Divine Martial Realm, the gap between the 6th and the 7th level was quite large. At this level, basically, for every increase in cultivation level, the talent power in one's body would double, and the closer one was to the Nirvana Tribulation realm, the stronger the talent power would be. But for ordinary martial cultivators, it was too difficult to advance after the 6th level of the Divine Martial Realm. Normally, where would there be so many opportunities to obtain battle merits? Even if they completed the Demon Hunters Association's mission, those natural treasures and cultivation pellets would be sky-high prices. They might as well go out and kill 1 or 2 Nirvana Tribulation Realm dragon warriors from the northern Chill Dragon country. But this was nothing for Kong Shinmu and the others. Previously, when Kong Shinmu fought against the dragon warriors from the northern Chill Dragon country, he was able to deal with them below the 2nd level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Now that he had advanced by 1 level, it was even easier for him to deal with them. Of course, Kong Shinmu still didn't dare to fight against opponents at the 3rd level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. After all, in the Nirvana Tribulation realm, the increase in strength brought by each level was much greater than in the Divine Martial realm. Therefore, unless Kong Shinmu reached the 9th level of the Divine Martial realm, he definitely wouldn't be a match for a dragon warrior at the 3rd level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. After the discussion, Kong Shinmu and the others set off that night and left Dragon Ice City. If they waited for Xiaofan to recover before leaving, it would be very difficult for them to leave. Even if they could leave, it was inevitable that they would be attacked halfway, just like Xia Lai and the others. This time, Kong Shinmu believed that Xiaofan wouldn't give him a chance. After all, after fighting with him, Xiaofan already knew his specific strength. If he attacked again, he would definitely crush them with absolute strength. He wouldn't give them any chance to survive. Therefore, they set off that night and quickly left the Dragon Ice territory. Once again, they set off for the battlefield with the northern Chill Dragon country. For Kong Shinmu and the others, this was already a walk in the park. Moreover, because Kong Shinmu and the others could kill opponents who were a whole level higher, it was much easier to obtain battle merits. This was because if the dragon warriors of the northern Chill Dragon country saw Kong Shinmu and the others, they would definitely think that they were weak and look down on them. In the end, they would be killed by them instead. They wouldn't even have the chance to call for help. Now that Kong Shinmu and the others were stronger, as long as they were careful, this trip would be even easier than before. Mysterious Dragon Seeking Shadow. Kong Shinmu turned into a black dragon and soared in the night sky. Moreover, he used the 3rd-grade dragon martial technique of the mysterious dragon seeking shadow to sense the situation in the distance. The mysterious dragon seeking shadow could smell the aura of dragon warriors or demonic beasts within a certain range through its sense of smell. This was very useful for their movements on the battlefield, and it could allow them to avoid danger to the greatest extent. In particular, the mysterious dragon seeking shadow could allow them to roughly sense the strength of the opponent. If the opponent was too strong or there were too many of them, Kong Shinmu and the others could just go around them. Chapter 4069. The news that Kong Shinmu had left Dragon Ice City with Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue quickly reached Xia Yuan's ears. When he heard what Meng Tianqing had said to him, he was so angry he wanted to jump out of his bed. This brat, he actually took this chance to slip away. I can't let him have a good time, right, like this. Xia Yuan's eyes spun and he immediately thought of a brilliant plan. Then he had Meng Tianqing come closer and say something into his ear. Meng Tianqing quickly had a sinister and enlightened expression. Don't worry, big brother Xia, I will definitely take care of this matter properly. Then he turned and walked out of the room. Xia Yuan watched him leave, and a dark look appeared on his face, as well as a hint of hatred towards Jiang Shenwu. Damn brat, you actually injured me in the Fire Dragon Army's camp. I, Xia Yuan, will not let you off easily. I will take revenge for my little brother one day. Kong Shinmu and the others naturally did not know of Xia Yuan's scheme. The three of them quickly stepped onto the battlefield and entered the Arctic mountain range. They began to search for opponents while concealing themselves. They were careful not to expose themselves in front of the northern Chill Dragon country's martial cultivators. The scent of the two dragon martial practitioners ahead should be at the first level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Let's go over quietly. Kang Shinmu quickly entered the depths of the Arctic mountain range and sensed movement. At this moment, all three of them were covered in layers of thick ice and snow, blocking off their auras. Even Jiang Shenwu could not smell the auras of the other two girls who were just inches away, let alone the two Dragon Scout martial artists who were more than 10 kilometers away. This was a method that Jiang Liuxue had come up with. Not only could it conceal the three of them's scent, it could also allow them to disguise themselves in a world of ice and snow, making it impossible for their opponents to discover them. It would be the most effective when launching a sneak attack. The three of them sneaked closer and quickly heard the conversation between the two northern Chill Dragon country's dragon martial practitioners. Alright, let's rest here tonight. There are no traces of Dragon Emperor Yan's brats nearby. Are you sure? Don't get attacked in the middle of the night. When did my mystical dragon-seeking shadow make a mistake? Fine, fine. Suit yourself. However, there is a piece of news recently, saying that an important person has appeared in the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire. Although he is only a god martial arts realm brat, he has killed dozens of our Nirvana Tribulation realm people. It seems like that brat has stepped onto the battlefield again. Just like before, he brought two women with him. We have to be careful. As the two of them talked, they seemed to be digging an ice cave, trying to create a place to stay and rest for the night. For Kang Shinmu and the others, they didn't need to rest at night. As long as they had enough monster cores, Kang Shinmu could devour the power within the monster cores and transfer it to Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue. In this way, the three of them didn't need to rest. They just needed to consume a large amount of monster cores. Fortunately, Kang Shinmu had killed enough sky demons during his trip to the Dragon Ice Canyon. He still had a lot of monster cores on him, so he didn't lack them. Hearing the conversation between the two dragon scouts, Jiang Shenwu and the other two, who were hidden in the snow, exchanged glances with each other. They could all see the seriousness in each other's eyes. They actually know of our existence. How could the Northern Chill Dragon country know of this? They also know that we killed dozens of Nirvana Tribulation realm dragon warriors from the Northern Chill Dragon country. Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue's expressions changed drastically. They were shocked by the content of the conversation between the two dragon scouts. Kang Shinmu narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice, "It must have been someone from the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire who leaked it. After all, only our own people know that we killed dozens of Nirvana Tribulation realm dragon warriors. The Northern Chill Dragon country can't possibly know. They also know that the three of us stepped onto the battlefield together. Such detailed information must have been leaked. The Yen Dragon army can't do that. So it must be someone else who has a grudge against us." Shi Yueying tilted her head and thought hard. She quickly thought of a possibility. Could it be that Xia Yueying leaked this information? Kang Shinmu frowned slightly and shook his head. Xia Yueying doesn't have the ability to spread this information to so many dragon warriors in the Northern Chill Dragon country in a day. If it was really him, then he must be in cahoots with the Northern Chill Dragon country. Or, it's not him who is in cahoots with the Northern Chill Dragon country, but the entire Xia family estate? Jiang Liuxue's cold eyes revealed a hint of suspicion. Otherwise, even if Xia Yueying wants to seek refuge in the Northern Chill Dragon country, the Northern Chill Dragon country won't accept him. Unless the entire Xia family estate is together, then it's possible. That makes sense. But we still don't know if Xia Yueying was the one who leaked the information. No matter what, we have to be careful. Kang Shinmu said in a low voice, "There's no one else within a 10-mile radius. We have to get rid of these 2 scouts. As soon as he finished speaking, he covered his entire body with ice and snow and slowly moved forward. Originally, he had his nose and eyes exposed to observe and probe. But now that he knew where the other party was, he didn't even need to look. The other party was already digging a hole in the ice, so he just walked in that direction. The 3 of them were covered in layers of ice and snow like 3 moving snowmen. They quietly moved in the direction of the 2 Northern Chill Dragon Country scouts. Although they couldn't see or smell the other party, when they got closer, they could still hear the sound of the other party digging a hole in the ice, as well as the occasional sound of conversation. When they got closer, they became even more careful. When they were half a mile away from the other party, the 3 of them hid. We can move now. Let's find an opportunity. Kong Shinmu and the other 2 hid and listened to the movements in front of them. Once the other party showed any signs of relaxing, they would launch a surprise attack. I'm going to pee. Soon, one of the people in front of them said anxiously. Then, they heard footsteps coming in their direction. Kong Shinmu and the others knew that their opportunity had come. Go! As the other party got closer, Kong Shinmu and the other 2 transformed into divine dragons and suddenly rushed out of the ice and snow. At the same time, the 3 dragon-grade dragon weapons instantly turned into 3 different colored streams of light and shot towards the other party. Chapter 40-70. The death of his comrade made the other dragon scout from the Northern Chill Dragon Country feel that something was wrong. He came out of the half-opened ice cave and transformed into his divine dragon form. Without thinking, he turned around and flew into the distance. He was trying to escape. Without a doubt, he knew that he was no match for his comrade when he saw that his comrade was killed in an instant. That was why he chose to escape. After him, Kong Shinmu did not hesitate and flew toward the other party. Extreme Shadow Meteor. Executing the Grade 3 Movement Dragon Martial Technique, Zhang Xian's terrifying speed burst forth in an instant, and in the blink of an eye, he had caught up to his opponent. However, the other party was not just running away. Seeing that Kong Shinmu was about to catch up, he suddenly turned around and gathered his ice force. Countless ice arrows fell from the sky and swept toward Kong Shinmu. Martial Dragon Shield. The devouring force in Kong Shinmu's body gathered and a layer of black martial dragon shield appeared in front of him, blocking all the ice arrows. Because the other party had the ice attribute talent, it was easy for Kong Shinmu to block it. Moreover, the other party was only at the first level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Although he had passed one Nirvana Tribulation, his strength was nothing to Kong Shinmu. After the martial dragon shield was the dragon-grade dragon weapon, the heavenly sacred halberd, and the third-grade dragon movement technique, phantom dragon fang. The golden halberd and the pitch-black dragon fangs instantly condensed and surged towards the Northern Chill Dragon Country's dragon scout, completely piercing through his divine dragon body. Then, the devouring power invaded his body and began to devour the essence of his flesh and blood. While Kong Shinmu was dealing with the other party, he kept an eye on the surroundings to see if there was anyone else around. Until now, he did not notice any movement around him. The mystic dragon seeking shadow did not smell anyone approaching, so he breathed a sigh of relief. Let's take a break. They have just finished half of the ice cave. Kong Shinmu told the 2 girls to go back and rest while he dragged the scout dragon's divine dragon corpse into the distance. At the same time, he used his devouring power to continuously devour the other party's flesh and life essence. Very quickly, the energy that Kong Shinmu had consumed was replenished, and he devoured the scout dragon's body as fast as he could. By the time the sky turned dark, all that was left of the dragon scout was his dragon bones. Due to the engulfing power, the smell of blood was unable to spread out at all. This guy was almost completely devoured by Kong Shinmu. In less than a night, I'll be able to devour all of this fellow's divine dragon bones. As Kang Shinmu thought to himself, he began to bury himself in the snow and devour the bones of this divine dragon. To him, although devouring the divine dragon's bones was no longer able to raise the level of his divine dragon's blood essence, devouring it would still be of some use. It was better than nothing, not to mention that he still needed to destroy the corpses. Of course, the frost dragon crystals in the bodies of the two scout dragon warriors had long been collected by Kang Shinmu. This was evidence that he had defeated the enemy dragon warriors, so he had to collect it. Night fell. Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue were resting in the ice cave. After Kang Shinmu finished devouring the dragon bones of the scout dragon warrior, he also went into the ice cave and covered the entrance with ice and snow to prevent others from discovering this place. This was not the first time the three of them had rested together, and they soon fell into a deep sleep. However, late at night, Kang Shinmu suddenly sensed something and woke up abruptly. He felt that there seemed to be the sound of some ice dragons soaring in the distance outside the ice cave. There should be dragon warriors flying in the sky, looking for something. It sounded like there were quite a few of them. Fortunately, I covered up all the traces of digging the ice cave, otherwise they might really have found us. Kang Shinmu frowned slightly, thinking that these dragon warriors should be the dragon warriors of the northern Chill Dragon country, right? Now that they were flying around, could it be that they were looking for traces of them? We are just three kids in the divine martial arts realm. In the battlefield between the northern Chill Dragon country and the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, we are dispensable. Why would they send so many people to search for us? Kang Shinmu's eyes were filled with caution. What the two scouts had said had already made him vigilant. He did not know who had spread the news about him to the dragon warriors of the northern Chill Dragon country. The information was so detailed. However, this did not stop Kang Shinmu from dealing with the dragon warriors of the northern Chill Dragon country. I still have the capital to take risks. Kang Shinmu thought to himself. He had to find out who had spread the news. If he could find evidence, he might be able to catch a traitor of the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. And the capital he had to take the risk to stay was the dragon scale of the heaven-opening devil dragon. With the strength of the heaven-opening devil dragon, even the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty would not dare to be careless. Therefore, when it appeared on the battlefield, it was an existence that could completely crush the opponent. On the battlefield, the Yen Dragon Emperor and the Northern Chill Dragon Emperor would not appear. After all, their strength was similar, so it was impossible for them to fight. Otherwise, if they were both injured, it would instead benefit the other dragon emperors. Therefore, even if it was a war between the two countries, the dragon emperor would not intervene. The Northern Chill Dragon country's goal this time was very clear, and that was to occupy the Dragon Ice domain. As for the real hidden goal, no one knew what it was. But no matter what, the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty would not let them obtain the Dragon Ice domain. At this time, Kang Shinmu suddenly thought of a possibility. Could the Northern Chill Dragon country's goal be the Sealing Dragon Abyss where Father is? The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. After all, a place like the Dragon Ice domain, although there were many resources, it was meaningless for the Northern Chill Dragon country to mobilize such a large number of dragon warriors to occupy it. Even if they occupied the Dragon Ice domain, they would not be able to obtain anything that could improve them too much. But if their goal was to take this opportunity to explore the Sealing Dragon Abyss, then this could explain. Using the pretense of war to send people to explore the Sealing Dragon Abyss. If this is true, what are the people of the Northern Chill Dragon country trying to do? Kang Shinmu thought to himself. He decided to wait for a good rest before heading in the direction of the Sealing Dragon Abyss. Along the way, he did not need to focus on killing the dragon warriors of the Northern Chill Dragon country. Because if the other party really wanted to explore the Sealing Dragon Abyss, many dragon warriors would definitely die in the Sealing Dragon Abyss. This concerns Father. I have to go and take a look. Kang Shinmu made up his mind. With his current methods, under normal circumstances, it would not be too much of a problem for him to avoid the detection of most dragon warriors. However, after observing the situation outside, he could not help but frown deeply. Why does it seem like there are dragon warriors outside at all times? If this is the case, we will be discovered the moment we go out. Chapter 4071. Kang Xinmu carefully observed for half a night and found that the group of dragon warriors had been flying around outside. If it was like this even at night, there was no need to mention during the day. It was obvious that they were trapped in this ice cave. Once they left, they would be discovered very quickly. Even if they used the previous method of covering themselves with ice and snow to conceal themselves, it might not work. Now that the ice cave was deep within the Arctic snow mountain, the other party could not discover them. If they simply covered themselves with a layer of ice and snow, it was very likely that they would be discovered by some of the more sensitive dragon warriors. Although I don't know what these dragon warriors are doing here, I definitely can't go out and take the risk. Kang Xinmu made a decision. Since that's the case, let's dig in the direction of the dragon sealing abyss from this ice cave and advance underground. Without any hesitation, he immediately dug underground. To him, opening up an ice cave was too easy. There was no need for him to destroy it with brute force. In fact, there was not even the slightest movement. The devouring power constantly devoured the ice on the ground, turning it into energy and transforming it into his own body. However, the amount of devouring power consumed in this way clearly exceeded the amount of energy he could recover. After all, this was only natural ice and snow, not the innate power of other dragon warriors. Moving underground like this will probably consume a lot of Sky Demon's Yao cores. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. However, to him, Sky Demon's Yao cores were consumables, so it didn't matter. As long as there was a Yao core, the energy in his body would not dry up. He did not need food or rest. There was almost no movement when he devoured the ice and snow. Even Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue, who were very close to him, were still sleeping and resting. Kang Xinmu decided to wait until he dug a deeper ice tunnel before waking them up and advancing deeper into the tunnel. The speed at which he dug the ice tunnel was extremely terrifying. Wherever his devouring power went, the ice and snow completely melted, transforming into the purest energy that Kang Xinmu devoured into his body. In just 2 hours, Kang Xinmu had dug a 1-kilometer-long ice tunnel under the ice cave they were resting in. It was enough for the three of them to move side by side. Moreover, this ice tunnel was even deeper than the surface of the Arctic snow mountain. It was even more impossible for them to be discovered by other dragon warriors. Let's go. Kang Xinmu called Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue over and led them into the icy passageway. The two women opened their eyes and saw that it was still not daybreak. However, they could hear the sounds of divine dragons flying across the sky, and they immediately understood something. However, with Jiang Xinwu around, they were able to remain calm. Looking at the ice path that had been carved out, they were shocked. At the same time, they rejoiced. Fortunately, they had come out with Jiang Xinwu. Otherwise, if they encountered such a situation, they would have either been discovered or trapped to death here. Usually, there weren't many people from the Dragon Emperor's court who came to the Arctic snow mountain. Therefore, it was equivalent to half of the northern Chill Dragon country's territory. Now, the number of dragon warriors from the northern Chill Dragon country in this area definitely exceeded the number of Yen Dragon Emperor's court. Therefore, they didn't think that it was the dragon warriors from the Yen Dragon Emperor's court who were flying around outside. Here, the dragon warriors from the northern Chill Dragon country would swagger around, but the Yen Dragon Emperor's court always acted in secret and hunted down the dragon warriors from the northern Chill Dragon country. Only the regular army of the Yen Dragon army would act as a whole, but in that case, it was impossible for them to constantly search for something in this area. Next, Kang Shinmu led the two women in the direction of the sealed dragon abyss. After getting used to it, they could dig a distance of 2 to 3 miles in 2 hours. They could dig a distance of 20 to 30 miles in a day, far away from the ice cave where they had been hiding before. 3 days later, they were 100 miles away. They were finally sure that they had gotten rid of the previous strict search. After all, no matter how many dragon warriors there were in the northern Chill Dragon country, it was impossible for them to search the entire area of the Arctic Snow Mountain. However, they could still feel the movements of some dragon warriors above them from time to time. They could even hear the sounds of fighting. It should be the dragon warriors from the northern Chill Dragon country and the Yen Dragon Emperor's court who had met up above and started fighting. As for who won and who lost, Kang Shinmu didn't dare to come out now. He wasn't sure what kind of existence he was in the eyes of the dragon warriors from the northern Chill Dragon country. If he was an opponent who could give them more battle merits, they would definitely attack him first. He didn't want to come out and attract their attention. They moved forward under the Arctic Snow Mountain. The distance of 100 miles was soon covered. Here, he and the two women were close to the sealed dragon abyss. However, Kang Shinmu didn't plan to return to the Arctic Snow Mountain. After all, it was very safe down there. If he went out, he could encounter danger at any time. Now, Kang Shinmu just wanted to confirm whether the northern Chill Dragon country's target was the sealed dragon abyss. Another day passed. He was closer to the location of the sealed dragon abyss. He could even feel that the black dragon's consciousness in his body seemed to be a little afraid and began to pay attention to hiding its aura. Obviously, the black dragon's perception was much stronger than Kang Shinmu's. This made him know that he couldn't go any further. Because he came to this place, about 50 miles away from the sealed dragon abyss, he found that the number of dragon warriors on the ice above had begun to increase. It seemed that there were many camps of dragon warriors nearby. The camp here couldn't be the camp of the Yen Dragon Army of the Yen Dragon Emperor's court. It was the camp of the Northern Chill Army. Once Kang Shinmu appeared, he would definitely die. He continued to devour the ice and snow around him silently. These days, he had been accompanied by ice and snow all day, and his eyes were already numb. However, he knew that this was almost the real beginning. He began to move toward the center of one of the camps and gradually approached the top. When he was close enough, he could finally hear some movements in the camp and even the conversation of the dragon warriors in the center of the camp. Enough. Let's listen to what they want to do first. Jiang Shenwu and the other two were hiding in the icy passageway below. They did not move at all and did not make any sound. The reason why the two girls were able to survive until now was because Jiang Shenwu had used his devouring power to devour the demonic core and transfer the energy to them. Otherwise, even a dragon warrior would not be able to endure not eating for such a long time. In the camp above, people kept coming in and out. Soon, Kang Shinmu heard them talking about the current situation of the war. The Yen Dragon Emperor's court is hunting our people, but they haven't come here yet. That's good. As long as our business is not disturbed, the sacrifice of others is worth it. Chapter 4072. Kang Shinmu was lurking below this camp. He soon discovered that the camp directly above was actually the camp of one of the main generals of the Northern Chill Army. Therefore, Kang Shinmu and the others lurking below were able to find out a lot of secrets. They stayed there for 3 days. By this time, Kang Shinmu had completely figured out the purpose of the other party's camp near the sealed dragon abyss. He also clearly knew who told the Northern Chill Dragon country about him. This group of Northern Chill Dragon country's dragon warriors seemed to want to find out the secret of the sealed dragon abyss. This was mainly because Kang Shinmu had stepped into the sealed dragon abyss once, causing the power in the sealed dragon abyss to leak out, causing the nearby dragon warriors to become inexplicably stronger. Therefore, after the dragon warriors of the Northern Chill Dragon Country discovered this and reported it, the Northern Chill Dragon Country quickly chose to attack the Dragon Emperor dynasty. On the surface, they wanted to occupy the Dragon Ice domain, but in fact, they wanted to control the area around the sealed Dragon Abyss. As long as all dragon warriors get close to the sealed Dragon Abyss, they will be strengthened. In terms of talent and nirvana force, they will be improved. Although the improvement is not much, if they can control the entire sealed Dragon Abyss and even dig out the secret, the overall strength of the Northern Chill Dragon Country will be improved in the long run. After testing, the dragon warriors who come near the sealed Dragon Abyss will only need to stay for 3 days to increase their strength by about 10%. Although there will be an increase after that, the increase will not be much. At most, they can only increase by about 20%. However, they will have to stay near the sealed Dragon Abyss for at least a month. The Northern Chill Dragon Country had already explored the situation near the sealed Dragon Abyss, but they still did not know why the power in the sealed Dragon Abyss could improve the strength of the dragon warriors. Now, the Northern Chill army was gathered near the sealed Dragon Abyss, constantly studying the power in the sealed Dragon Abyss. At the same time, Kang Xinmu also found out the information he wanted. The specific information about him, Shi Yueying, and Jiang Liuxue had indeed been leaked to the Northern Chill Dragon Country by the Xia clan's people. Sacred Dragon Xia Yan had actually colluded with the Northern Chill Dragon Country not long ago. The Xia clan residence has rebelled. This news must be sent to the Flame Dragon Legion. However, we have no proof, Kang Xinmu thought. Sacred Dragon Xia Yan had always wanted to deal with him, and Xia Lai had died at his hands. Xia Yueyin had also been defeated by him in the Flame Dragon Legion's training grounds. Not only that, but Kang Xinmu had also killed one of Xia Yan's sons, Xia Tianhan. It could be said that the hatred between Kang Xinmu and Sacred Dragon Xia Yan had reached an irreconcilable level. Therefore, if there was evidence of Sacred Dragon Xia Yan's betrayal, Kang Xinmu would be able to eliminate a great enemy. However, the problem now was that it was undoubtedly difficult to obtain evidence of Sacred Dragon Xia Yan's betrayal. Now, he and the two women were only eavesdropping on the other side's camp, and the information they heard was extremely covert. If they were a little further away, they would not be able to hear clearly, but if they were a little closer, they would likely be discovered by the other side. Therefore, it was absolutely impossible to go up and collect evidence. Moreover, it was impossible for there to be evidence of Sacred Dragon Xia Yan colluding with the Northern Chill Dragon Country in this camp. Since he dared to betray, he would certainly not leave behind any obvious evidence. However, there are still clues to this matter. At the very least, Sacred Dragon Xia Yan's son, Xia Yueyin, knows that his father has already made contact with the Northern Chill Dragon Country. Otherwise, it would be impossible for this matter to reach the Northern Chill Dragon Country so quickly. With my strength, it should be difficult to collect positive evidence of Xia Yan's betrayal. I have to go back and find an ally first. Naturally, Kang Xinmu was thinking of the Flame Dragon Legion. However, on second thought, the Flame Dragon Legion would probably not believe his words. In that case, he had to find a force that had a grudge against Sacred Dragon Xia Yan. It would naturally be best if Sacred Dragon Shi Tao took action. However, Shi Tao did not come to Dragon Ice City. Instead, he stayed in Dragon Prison City. This is a little awkward. Without Shi Tao, it seems that I can't find anyone trustworthy to help me. Kang Xinmu frowned slightly, feeling that this matter was a little tricky. If someone could help him, he would be able to find evidence that could prove Sacred Dragon Xia Yan's betrayal from the information he had obtained. However, he could not find anyone to help him. It was impossible for him to get involved in this matter alone. 7 days later, Sacred Dragon Xia Yan received an invitation from the Northern Chill Dragon Legion. He came into contact with them for the first time and stayed near the Dragon Sealing Abyss for a period of time. During this time, sacred dragon Xiaofan prepared to use the power of the dragon's sealing abyss to improve himself. At the same time, it was also his first contact with the northern Chill Dragon country. If he seized this opportunity, he could easily prove that sacred dragon Xiaofan had already stood on the side of the northern Chill Dragon army and betrayed the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. Whatever, I can only go back first. Kang Xinmu shook his head. He had been staying here and listening to the other party's investigation of the dragon's sealing abyss, but it had not yielded any results. The northern Chill Dragon country's understanding of the dragon's sealing abyss was certainly not as good as Kang Xinmu's. However, Kang Xinmu also did not know why the dragon warrior's strength would increase after the power of the dragon's sealing abyss leaked out. Even Kang Xinmu did not know, let alone the people of the northern Chill Dragon country. They did not dare to send people into the dragon's sealing abyss at all. After all, no one who entered the dragon's sealing abyss in the past had ever come out alive. Even those who died did not come out. Entering the dragon's sealing abyss was tantamount to completely disappearing from the world. If Jiang Rong had not died, this group of people would have probably captured Jiang Rong and interrogated him about what was in the dragon's sealing abyss. On the other hand, because Kang Xinmu and the other two were relatively close to the dragon's sealing abyss, they were also affected by the power of the dragon's sealing abyss even though they were under the ice and snow of the Arctic snow mountain. Each of them had their talent power increased by 10%, making them even stronger. I didn't expect that hiding under the ice and snow would also have such benefits. The two women did not know whether to laugh or cry at this result. However, they also knew that the information they had obtained this time was undoubtedly extremely important to the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. Until now, most people in the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty still thought that the northern Chill Dragon country wanted to occupy the Dragon Ice domain this time. But now it seemed that this was not the case. If it was a problem with the dragon's sealing abyss, then the series of actions of the northern Chill Dragon country could be understood. Let's go back to Dragon Ice City first. No matter what, we will report our findings to the Yen Dragon army. As for whether they believe it or not, it's up to them. Kang Xinmu narrowed his eyes and gathered his devouring power again. Chapter 4073. Dragon Ice City. After leaving for 10 days, Kang Xinmu, Shi Yueying, and Jiang Liuxue finally returned. At this time, Kang Xinmu only had one heavenly monster core left, which could be used to heal at a critical moment. As for devouring the ice and hiding under the snow like before, it was impossible for him to do so. Unless he started hiding from a very far place and opened up an ice tunnel, the patrolling dragon warriors of the northern Chill Dragon country would definitely find their traces. However, if he did that, he would need to prepare at least 10 heavenly monster cores. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to open up an ice tunnel all the way to the bottom. If it was a dragon martial artist in the Samsara Tribulation realm, it would not be difficult for them to directly break through the ice and snow and create a path. However, it was impossible for them to do it silently like Jiang Xinwu. Therefore, it was impossible for others to replicate his ability to hide. As Kang Xinmu and the others returned to Dragon Ice City, the three of them immediately went to the Flame Dragon army. In order to make the people of the Flame Dragon army believe their reports, after Kang Xinmu stepped into the Flame Dragon army's encampment, he took the initiative to report his findings separately from Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue. This way, the three of them would be much more credible if their reports were the same. When the people of the Flame Dragon army saw that Kang Xinmu had come to report important news, they followed Kang Xinmu's suggestion and separated the three of them to report separately. This made the people of the Flame Dragon army pay more attention to it, because it meant that the things the three of them were going to report might not be so easy to believe. The three of them were separated. Kang Xinmu was brought to a small, independent room and began to report his findings. He also reported the situation of his devouring power opening up the ice tunnel. This was to increase the credibility of his report and destroy the Xia family mansion in one fell swoop. Now, although Holy Dragon Xia Yan had joined the Northern Chill Dragon country, the foundation of the Xia family mansion was still in the Dragon Prison City of the Dragon Prison Domain. If Xia Yan was given a certain amount of time, it was very likely that he would slowly and stealthily transfer the main forces of the Xia clan's mansion in Dragon Prison City. In that case, he would be able to rise again in the Northern Chill Dragon country in the shortest time possible and even reach an even stronger level than before. Therefore, Kang Xinmu had to destroy the entire Xia family mansion as soon as possible. Soon, Kang Xinmu told them all he knew. Of course, this did not include his understanding of the sealed dragon abyss. You mean, the Northern Chill Dragon country's real goal is the power leaking out of the sealed dragon abyss? We know that most of the dragon warriors are stationed outside the dragon country, but we didn't know that the dragon abyss is leaking out. Also, you're saying that Xia Yan betrayed us and will go to the Beihan army's base and stay there for a few days? The news came one after another, causing the dragon martialist who received Jiang Shenwu in the Flame Dragon army to have a solemn expression. Every piece of news was important. In fact, the Fire Dragon army did not know what the Northern Chill Dragon country's goal was, but what Kang Xinmu said was really possible. Wait a minute. The man nodded to Kang Xinmu, then turned around and left the room. Kang Xinmu knew that the man had gone to confirm with others. If the confirmation was completely consistent with Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue's people, they would have reason to believe that what Kang Xinmu said was true. Sure enough, the man returned to the room and asked Kang Xinmu some more details. He asked all the things that he might have missed. After making sure that what they said was exactly the same, they discussed it and made a decision. In that case, we need to confirm whether what you said is true or not. You said that you can use the devouring talent to quickly dig the ice road. Take our people to the camp and hide for a while. The person in charge of the Fire Dragon army quickly came over and said to Kang Xinmu solemnly, "You said that you need heavenly phase monster cores to maintain the consumption of digging the ice road and turn them into food. The Fire Dragon army will provide them to you. How many people can you bring with you?" 2 at most. The more we bring, the slower it will be to dig the ice road. Kang Xinmu said calmly. Okay, then I'll bring you 2 people. They are the elites of the Fire Dragon army and can be trusted. The person in charge of the Fire Dragon army patted Kang Xinmu on the shoulder. Also, we will let all the elites get ready and hide near the dragon abyss. If there is any accident, we will take action. Our first goal is to rescue you. Of course, if you are not in any danger, we will not do anything. Kang Xinmu nodded. In addition, the 2 beauties will stay here and wait for the follow-up of this matter. If it is proven that the divine dragon Xia Yan has rebelled, the entire Xia family mansion must be eliminated with lightning speed. The person in charge of the Fire Dragon army had a ruthless look in his eyes. Kang Xinmu did not expect everything to go so smoothly. After all, he had no other choice but to come to the Fire Dragon army. There was no other force he could trust in Dragon Ice City. Now that the person in charge of the Fire Dragon army had put forward a suggestion, Kang Xinmu was quite satisfied. It was not a big deal for him to dig another ice road. As long as he could prove that the divine dragon Xia Yan had rebelled, it would all be worth it. Digging an ice road was an extremely boring job and required extreme caution. Otherwise, it would be easy to be discovered by the dragon martial artists on the ice. 3 days ago, the Cold North Army said that Xia Yan had 7 days to go to the dragon abyss. Now that I'm back, it will take about 3 days to dig another ice road. By then, Xia Yan should arrive at the Cold North Army's encampment. Kang Xinmu calculated the time and found that it was just right. He would not miss it. Moreover, even if he missed Xia Yan going to the Dragon Abyss, it did not matter. Xia Yan would stay in the Dragon Abyss for at least 3 days. As long as he could see Xia Yan at the Cold North Army's encampment, it would be enough to prove that he had rebelled. Moreover, he did not know if Xia Yan would bring Xia Yuan with him. No matter what, you're dead this time. Kang Xinmu was confident that as long as the Fire Dragon army sent people with him to dig an ice road and hide under the opponent's encampment, there would not be any problems. The Xia family mansion was basically doomed. In that case, everyone can rest for the night. We will leave early tomorrow morning. The person in charge of the Fire Dragon army did not let Kang Xinmu and the others leave. Instead, he let them rest in the encampment. Chapter 40-74. When Kang Xinmu saw Xia Yuan, he did not show any special expression. He just glanced at him indifferently and turned to leave. However, Xia Yuan obviously could not pretend not to see him. Stop! Before Xia Yuan could speak, Meng Tianqing and Zhang Shijian, who were behind him, shouted fiercely at Kang Xinmu. Obviously, they wanted to put on a good show in front of Xia Yuan. Jiang Shenwu didn't say anything. He just turned around and looked at the two of them with a hint of ridicule. These two guys definitely did not know that Holy Dragon Xia Yan had betrayed the Yan Dragon Emperor dynasty and stood on the side of the Northern Chill Dragon country. Otherwise, they would not have stood up so actively and wanted to show off in front of Xia Yuan. Unfortunately, these two guys were just Xia Yuan's sacrificial pawns. When the betrayal of the Xia family mansion was exposed, these two people, who had been following Xiaoyu, would certainly not be able to escape the responsibility. In any case, there were only 3 days left. Kang Xinmu could prove Xia Yan's betrayal and bring the people of the Flame Dragon army to prove it. These guys did not have much time left. The foundation of the Xia family mansion was still in the Dragon prison domain. Even if Xia Yan wanted to move quietly, he could not do it in a short time. Therefore, when they went to the Northern Chill Dragon country, it was impossible for them to not return. They would definitely come back. By then, it would be time for the Xia clan to be destroyed. Kang Xinmu, where have you been all this time? I missed you so much. Xia Yuan glanced at Kang Xinmu, pushed Meng Tianqing and Zhang Shijian away, and snorted coldly. It's useless even if you miss me. I don't miss you. Kang Xinmu chuckled. What? You're not satisfied with your previous loss. Do you want to fight? You don't have much time left. Sooner or later, I will find evidence that you colluded with the Northern Chill Dragon country to frame my brother. Xia Yuan snorted coldly, his eyes cold. These words made Kang Xinmu want to laugh. This brat had clearly betrayed the Yan Dragon Emperor's dynasty and colluded with the Northern Chill Dragon country. In the end, the thief was crying thief, and he even had a righteous look on his face. It was simply disgusting. How are you going to find evidence for something you didn't do? Even if there is evidence, I'm afraid it's all fabricated by you. Kang Xinmu chuckled, not taking the threat seriously at all. Because he'd completely grasped his opponent's weakness. Without saying much to the other party, Kang Xinmu turned around and took the two girls to rest. It was useless to talk to this guy. If it was before, Kang Xinmu might have been worried that the other party would fabricate some unfavorable evidence against him and accuse him of colluding with the Northern Chill Dragon country. But now, he was sure that the evidence he had was much more solid than what they could fabricate. When the evidence from both sides was compared, there was no need to say whose evidence was more credible. Holy Dragon Xia Yan had stayed in the Northern Chill Dragon country's army base for so many days. How could he not have betrayed the Yan Dragon Emperor's dynasty? This evidence was 100% proof. As for what Xia Yuan had gone to find, it was nothing more than a few witnesses and material evidence. It was definitely not as convincing as what Kang Xinmu had discovered. Moreover, Kang Xinmu had also discovered the Northern Chill Dragon country's true goal. This was something Xia Yuan could not compare to. After this, Kang Xinmu would have made a great contribution. His contribution would probably be comparable to killing 100 Nirvana Realm enemy dragon warriors. Seeing Kang Xinmu turn around and leave, Xia Yuan did not chase after him. Instead, he sneered. He had almost prepared the evidence to frame Kang Xinmu. Now, he only lacked a witness. As long as he captured a prisoner of the Northern Chill Dragon country and forced him to testify against Kang Xinmu's collusion with the Northern Chill Dragon country would be ignored. Xia Yuan knew that his father was now an important figure in the Northern Chill Dragon country's army. Wouldn't it be easy for him to get someone to testify against Kang Xinmu? He just needed to ensure the other party's safety. Xia Yuan thought about it. After handing over the 2 Frost Dragon crystals, he turned around and left the hall of the Flame Dragon Army's base with Meng Tianqing and Zhang Shijian. After all, they were now part of the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty. They would definitely have to go to the battlefield and hand over some evidence from time to time. He noticed that a few people in the Flame Dragon Army's hall were looking at him strangely. However, he did not pay much attention to them. He thought that his conversation with Kang Xinmu had attracted their attention. So what if I lose to Kang Xinmu? The evidence of this brat colluding with the Northern Chill Dragon country will be gathered soon. Xia Yuan snorted coldly in his heart. He turned around and left the hall of the Flame Dragon Army's base. Early the next morning, Kang Xinmu secretly set off. He was accompanied by 2 elite dragon martial artists of the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty. They were both super experts at the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. On one hand, they were good at hiding and could ensure that they would not be discovered. On the other hand, even if they were discovered, they could protect Kang Xinmu's safety. If Jiang Xinwu had really colluded with the Northern Chill Dragon country and wanted to lure them over, with their strength, they would be able to escape immediately and ensure their safety as much as possible. When no one was paying attention, the 2 of them followed Kang Xinmu and headed toward the Arctic Snow Mountain. Very quickly, they arrived at the Arctic Snow Mountain's territory. There should still be some traces of the ice path that I dug out earlier. It hasn't completely disappeared. So, we just need to dig along the traces. After Kang Xinmu finished speaking, he quickly found the traces of the ice path left behind in the Arctic Snow Mountain. However, at this time, 2 dragon martial artists of the Northern Chill Dragon country suddenly appeared not far away. If Kang Xinmu came by himself, he would probably have to spend a lot of effort. However, with the help of the 2 experts from the Flame Dragon Army, the 2 dragon martial artists were killed in the blink of an eye. The elite experts of the Flame Dragon Army usually wouldn't appear in such a peripheral battlefield. So, it could only be said that the 2 dragon martial artists of the Northern Chill Dragon country were unlucky. After killing the 2 fellows, the devouring power in Kang Xinmu's body condensed in his hands. He directly started to dig the ice path in his human form. Very quickly, he started to dig diagonally downwards. Very quickly, he dug out an ice path. Seeing this, the 2 dragon martial artists of the Flame Dragon Army looked at each other and followed Kang Xinmu into the ice path. The 3 of them quickly moved toward the sealed dragon abyss. Chapter 4075. Kang Xinmu brought the 2 of them all the way to the base of the Northern Chill Army. They hid in the excavated ice tunnel and began to eavesdrop. The perception of the 2 people behind him was much stronger than his and the 2 women's. They could clearly hear what was happening in the camp above, even if it was happening far away. The most important thing was the sound of conversation. Kang Xinmu could only hear the conversation in the tent above. But now, the 2 people behind him could hear the voices in the other 3 tents nearby. Sometimes, they could even hear some obscene noises. It was obvious that someone was doing it. However, they naturally ignored all these things. Their attention was completely focused on matters related to the sealing dragon abyss and sacred dragon Xiaofan. Of course, they also eavesdropped on some secret information about the northern Chill Dragon country's army. 6 hours after they arrived at the secret location, they finally heard movement when dawn arrived. It was the holy dragon Xiaofan. He had brought 3 subordinates and his son, Xiaofan, to the camp of the northern Chill Dragon country. The 2 people beside Kong Xinmu looked at each other and nodded slowly. At this point, they could completely confirm that the holy dragon Xiaofan had betrayed the Yan Dragon Emperor dynasty and colluded with the dragon warriors of the northern Chill Dragon country. Now, the holy dragon Xiaofan had taken advantage of the fact that he was carrying out a mission to come to the camp and borrow the mysterious power of the sealing dragon abyss to increase his strength. Not only did he come himself, but he also brought 3 important subordinates of the Xia family and the strongest of his sons, Xiaofan. A boy called Kong Xinmu killed my son, Xia Lai. Before the Xia family comes to us, we must get rid of this boy to vent my hatred. The holy dragon Xiaofan's face was cold. His voice passed through the thick layer of ice and reached the ears of Kong Xinmu and the other 2 people hiding below. Father, leave it to me. After the improvement in the sealing dragon abyss, I can definitely defeat that boy. I don't believe that he can make another breakthrough in battle. Moreover, we have already forged evidence of him colluding with the northern Chill Dragon country. When the time comes, he will not be able to escape. He will definitely die. This was Xiaofan's voice. He actually wanted to return to Dragon Ice City to challenge Kong Xinmu again after the improvement. Unfortunately, neither Xiaofan nor Xiaofan knew that their conversation had fallen into the ears of Kong Xinmu and the 2 experts of the Fire Dragon army. The 2 powerhouses of the Flame Dragon Legion were now quite impressed with Jiang Xinwu. They didn't expect him to be able to find such a place to inquire about the other party's information and even discover Divine Dragon Xiaofan's betrayal. One could imagine that if they did not have Jiang Xinwu, they would not have discovered Xiaofan's betrayal. It was very likely that when Xiaofan escaped, the Fire Dragon army would have suffered great losses. It was likely that they would have known and Kong Xinmu had would have been Dragon Xia Chill and would ice. Gene Dragon Gene Chill would have been the dragon. As for now, such a thing would not have happened. If Xiaofan appeared in Dragon Ice City or even in the camp of the Fire Dragon army in the Arctic Snow Mountain, he would have been subdued by the experts of the Fire Dragon army and had no chance of escaping. Unless he hid in the camp of the Arctic Snow Mountain and did not come out, he would not have been able to escape. But even so, the Xia family residence in the Dragon Prison domain would have been destroyed. If Xiaofan went to the northern Chill Dragon country alone, the losses he could bring to the Dragon Emperor's court were negligible. Kong Xinmu then eavesdropped on the information for 2 days with the 2 experts in the ice layer below. Then, in order to prevent any accidents, they decided to go back first. At least, they had to send the news of Xiaofan's betrayal back so that they could take control of the Xia family residence in the Dragon Prison domain. Kong Xinmu walked in front and continued to dig through the ice path that still had some traces left. The devouring power continued to devour the ice and snow, turning it into the purest power and integrating it into Kong Xinmu's body. As a result, Jiang Xinwu's recent resistance towards the power of the ice attribute had once again sublimated to a higher level. His body's familiarity with the power of ice had reached a terrifying level. If he continued to devour Shi Yueying's 5 elements mysterious ice power like before, it would not take long for Kong Xinmu to be immune to almost all ice attribute power. Unless it was an existence whose power level was much higher than his, it would be impossible to cause any harm to Kong Xinmu. 2 days later, Kong Xinmu and the 2 experts of the Fire Dragon army had already returned to Dragon Ice City. The 2 experts of the Fire Dragon army went back to report their findings. At this time, Holy Dragon Xiaofan, his 3 subordinates, and his son, Xiaofan, were affected by the power of the sealing dragon abyss and returned after their strength had increased by more than 10%. Their plan was to stay in the sealing dragon abyss for 3 days and increase their strength by 10%. As for more, they would wait for an opportunity in the future. Unfortunately, they had no idea that their trip had been exposed. Holy Dragon Xiaofan returned to the Fire Dragon Army's camp in the Arctic Snow Mountain with his subordinates. Then, they were suddenly arrested by the Fire Dragon Army's adjudicators. The 4 of them were escorted back to Dragon Ice City. Xiaofan returned directly to Dragon Ice City with a dragon martialist from the northern Chill Dragon country. He planned to use him to identify Kong Shinmu. In the end, before he could react, he was captured by the Fire Dragon Army scouts outside Dragon Ice City. They brought him and the dragon martialist from the northern Chill Dragon country back to Dragon Ice City. There was also the Xia clan's mansion in the distant Dragon Prison City. After the Fire Dragon Army gave the order, the Dragon King sent people to seal the entire Xia clan's mansion. Everyone inside was arrested and imprisoned, waiting for the outcome of the trial. In the Fire Dragon Army's prison cell, Kong Shinmu was brought to see the imprisoned Xiaofan, Holy Dragon Xiaofan, and the others. At this moment, Xiaofan was completely dejected, like a defeated rooster. They knew very well that since the Fire Dragon Army had arrested them, they must have already obtained evidence against them. However, Holy Dragon Xiaofan did not give up just like that. He was still fighting for a chance of survival. Little bastard. My plan has been completely ruined by you. Holy Dragon Xiaofan glared at Kong Shinmu through the cell. I ruined your plan. Chapter 4076. Holy Dragon Xiaofan was now locked in a cell. His clothes were somewhat tattered, and he no longer wore the brocade silk robe and high-spirited appearance he had before. His eyes were like those of a wild beast as he stared at Kong Shinmu outside the cell. How could a brat like you understand my plan? I betrayed the Yen Dragon Emperor's empire on purpose. I wanted to break into the northern Chill Dragon country. Now, I have obtained enough information about the northern Chill Dragon country. We can completely defeat them in one fell swoop. You should say that to the lords of the Flame Dragon Legion. I don't have the right to decide how to deal with you. Kong Shinmu smiled faintly. He took one last look at Xiaofan, who was also in the cell, and had been tortured to the point of exhaustion. Then, he turned and left the cell. He had only come to confirm the current situation of Holy Dragon Xiaofan and Xiaofan. He had no intention of arguing with them. In any case, now that their crimes of rebellion had been proven, only death awaited them. Of course, they were still locked up now because the Fire Dragon Army wanted to squeeze all the useful information out of them, especially regarding the mysterious power of the Sealing Dragon Abyss, such as when and how it appeared and so on. When Kong Shinmu and the 2 Flame Dragon Legion powerhouses were stationed in the underground ice tunnel, they did not hear any news about this. Therefore, they still needed to see if Xiaofan had any useful information. Soon, Kong Shinmu returned to the inn and met with Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue. He explained the current situation of Holy Dragon Xiaofan to them. Shi Yueying heaved a sigh of relief. I didn't expect them to really rebel. Now, there will be one less Xia family residence in Dragon Prison City. Jiang Liuxue's eyes were filled with pity. I really don't understand why they would rebel. Even with the attraction of the Sealing Dragon Abyss, our Yen Dragon Emperor's empire might still be able to snatch the Sealing Dragon Abyss. That's right. Geographically speaking, the Sealing Dragon Abyss is closer to the Yen Dragon Emperor's empire. Kong Shinmu nodded. If Xiaofan had told the Flame Dragon Legion about the Sealing Dragon Abyss, they might have been able to snatch it. Unfortunately, he chose to betray them. The Northern Chill Dragon country must have promised him more benefits. This time, the Xia family residence is almost finished. Many forces involved with the Xia family residence will also be affected. Fortunately, we only have confrontation with the Xia family residence, not cooperation. Shi Yueying sighed. This matter shouldn't end like this. Let's wait and see. A light flashed in Kong Shinmu's of the star. He knew that now that the mysterious power of the dragon sealing abyss had been exposed, the fire dragon army would not sit back and do nothing. Otherwise, everyone in the Beihan army would be affected by the power of the dragon sealing abyss and their strength would increase by 10%. This was a situation that the Yen Dragon Legion didn't want to see. Otherwise, everyone in the Northern Chill army would be affected by the power of the sealing dragon abyss. This wasn't something that the Yen Dragon Legion wanted to see. Therefore, after getting useful information from Xia Yan, the Yen Dragon Legion would definitely take action. As expected, 3 days later, the people from the Fire Dragon Army came looking for him again. The Yen Dragon Legion needs you to continue leading us to the Northern Chill Army's encampment. Our goal this time is to explore the Northern Chill Army's encampment and some other details. If nothing goes wrong, it will last for 7 days. We will prepare the monster cores you need. A person in charge of the Yen Dragon Legion looked for Kong Shinmu and said. How many people are you bringing this time? Kong Shinmu asked. 3 to 4. Is there any problem? The person raised his eyebrows and asked back. No. But if that's the case, I will need 109th level monster cores to last this long. Kong Shinmu was asking for an exorbitant price. He hadn't shown his ability before, so he was too embarrassed to say it. But now that the other party wanted his help, he didn't need to be polite. After all, we have to stay in the Northern Chill Army's encampment for 7 days. It will take another 4 to 5 days to go back and forth. That adds up to more than 10 days. 100. The person frowned. No problem. Wait for the news. We are still selecting candidates. After that, he turned around and left. Kong Shinmu could tell that the person was a little surprised by his exorbitant price. But it was obvious that 100 sky monster cores were nothing to them. The entire Yen Dragon Legion had more monster cores than that. Even the members of the Fire Dragon Army were usually trained to hunt demonic beasts. Naturally, they had stored countless demonic cores. Taking out 100 demonic cores was nothing to them. In reality, Jiang Shenwu had said too much, but he didn't say too much. In more than 10 days, if he brought 4 people, a total of 5 people would consume at least 60 to 70 Yao cores. He had only taken 30 or so more Yao cores. Also, if Kong Shinmu focused, he could hunt 1 or 2 monster cores a day. It wouldn't be a problem for the Yen Dragon Legion. 3 days later, the Yen Dragon Legion picked 4 dragon warriors with strong detection abilities to follow Kong Shinmu to the Northern Chill Dragon Nation's encampment to investigate the situation. 4 dragon warriors, 1 for each direction. Aha! Kong Shinmu narrowed his eyes. He naturally guessed what the other party was thinking. The 4 of them would focus on collecting information in one direction. In 7 days, they could completely understand the situation of the Northern Chill Dragon Legion's encampment. Also, because of the sealed dragon abyss, the Northern Chill Dragon Legion would definitely not change their encampment. So, it would be very helpful to plan the attack in the future. Before leaving, Kong Shinmu asked about the situation of Xia Yan and Xia Yueyin. They have been escorted to see Dragon Emperor Yan. The entire Xia family mansion has been imprisoned. In addition, we have also started investigating the Meng tribe and Zhang tribe that have been close to the Xia family mansion recently. The Yen Dragon Legion answered. Kong Shinmu nodded in satisfaction, but he still kept an eye out. As long as Xia Yan was still alive, there was a possibility that he could escape. Even if it was only a 1 in 10,000 chance, he couldn't let his guard down. Otherwise, if he was not careful, he could be doomed eternally. After all, the other party was a reincarnation tribulation realm divine dragon expert. Chapter 4077. As for Xia Yuan, Kang Xinmu was not worried about her. For the Xia clan mansion, if there was anyone who could escape from this disaster, it would be Saint Dragon Xia Yan. There was a 1 in a million chance that the northern Chill Dragon country would send someone to rescue Xia Yan, but Xia Yuan would not care. Therefore, Xia Yuan was basically doomed. The only person Kang Xinmu needed to worry about was Xia Yan. Of course, given his current level, he could not participate in dealing with Xia Yan. Therefore, he had no choice but to listen to the Fire Dragon Army's arrangements and continue to explore the area below the northern Chill Dragon country. 10 days later, Kang Xinmu returned safely with the 4 dragon martial artists from the Fire Dragon Army. This time, the 4 of them explored in different directions. After 7 days, they finally investigated the specific terrain of the surrounding area, the location of the camp, and so on. Then, Kang Xinmu returned with them. After returning to Dragon Eye City, Kang Xinmu received a medal, the Fire Dragon War Medal. Receiving this medal meant that one had made great contributions in the war for the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty. At the same time, one would receive a large number of battle points, which could be used to exchange for some dragon martial techniques, dragon weapons, and so on. So many battle points. Kang Xinmu was a little surprised. Although he thought that he had made a great contribution to the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty, the battle points seemed to be twice as much as he had imagined. Yes, this is the battle points for 2 things. One is to expose the Xia family's betrayal, and the other is to help us find out the situation of the northern Chill Dragon country's camp. If you want more, there is another option for you. The person in charge of the Fire Dragon Army smiled. Are you willing to help us launch a surprise attack on the northern Chill Dragon country's camp? This is a little more dangerous, but if we succeed, it will be the 3rd contribution. You are the only one in the past 100 years to get so many contributions in a war. Kang Xinmu frowned slightly. If he wanted to help them launch a sneak attack on the North Chill Dragon country, Kang Xinmu would have to bring enough powerful dragon warriors to dig an ice tunnel underground and hide under the camp of the North Chill army. However, the more people he brought, the more likely it was that he would be exposed. That's possible, but we'll need to dig deeper into the ice tunnel. Otherwise, we'll be exposed due to the large number of people, and all our efforts will be in vain. Kang Xinmu said. Of course. When the time comes, you'll be responsible for leading the 12 of us to a spot 3 miles below the Beihan army's camp. They shouldn't be able to detect us. This time, we're not here to gather information, so we don't need to listen to their movements in the camp. The Flame Dragon Army's person in charge said indifferently, as for the exact plan, you do not need to know. You just have to bring them over. When the time comes, they will protect your safety. I don't think I have a reason to refuse. Kang Xinmu's lips curled up. This was also a great opportunity for him to make a contribution. As long as he made a contribution, he would be able to get closer to the Yen Dragon Emperor. Then, he would be able to find a way to find out about the divine dragon tomb of the Yen Dragon Emperor. Now that Kang Xinmu wanted to become a dragon warrior at the divine dragon tomb of the Dragon Emperor, he could only rely on the Yen Dragon Emperor's divine dragon tomb. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to devour so many divine dragon corpses and increase his divine dragon blood essence. How long will the operation take? Kang Xinmu asked. 3 days later. However, you only have 1 day to prepare, because you need to bring the 12 people to the designated location in 3 days, the Flame Dragon Army's person in charge said solemnly. The person in charge of the Fire Dragon Army said solemnly, only your devouring power can do this silently. That's why you were given so many battlefield points. In addition, the Yen Dragon Emperor has just given an order. If you cooperate with us and successfully take down the Beihan army's encampment, you will be able to meet him in person. He will give you something you want." When he said this, the Flame Dragon Army's person in charge looked envious. Even for a senior member of the Flame Dragon Army like him, being able to meet the Yen Dragon Emperor was something worth celebrating, not to mention that this opportunity had fallen onto a kid at the divine martial arts realm. Originally, he was a little jealous of Kang Shinmu, so he asked him if he was willing to participate in this operation. If he chose not to participate, he would lose the opportunity to meet the Yen Dragon Emperor, which was naturally a good thing for the other members of the Flame Dragon Army. Otherwise, if Kang Shinmu was here, most of the credit for taking down the Beihan army's encampment would belong to Kang Shinmu. However, since Kang Shinmu was willing to participate, he could not stop him. He could only watch as the Dragon Emperor met Kang Shinmu in person after the operation was successful. "That means we have to leave tonight." Kang Shinmu frowned slightly. "It will take at least 3 days to dig a deeper ice tunnel, so we can't delay it any longer. Make some preparations and set off immediately." "I was waiting for you to say that." The person in charge smiled faintly, then walked out of the room and gestured for Kang Shinmu to follow him. Soon, Kang Shinmu saw the 12 dragon martial artists who were going to follow him to sneak into the encampment of the Beihan army. When Kang Shinmu first saw the 12 figures in the dense forest outside Dragon Ice City, he felt suffocated. He felt that the 12 figures were like the gods of death. They gave off an extremely strong murderous aura, and the smell of blood was extremely strong. Obviously, they had extremely terrifying strength. These 12 people are probably the strongest in the Flame Dragon Army. They are especially responsible for this sneak attack. As long as they hide below, near the sealed dragon abyss, there should be other members of the Flame Dragon Army working together to restrain them. First, they will attract the attention of the Beihan Army, then they will launch a sneak attack and directly kill the enemy's main combat force. Kang Shinmu's heart skipped a beat. He had no idea at all about the combat force of these 12 people. He only knew that these 12 people were definitely stronger than the Holy Dragon Xia Yan and the Holy Dragon Shi Tao that he had met before. They were only slightly weaker than the Heaven Awakening Devil Dragon that he had met before. However, when the 12 of them gathered together, even the Heaven Awakening Devil Dragon would not be a match for them. It could be seen that in order to obtain the sealed Dragon Abyss, the Dragon Emperor Yen had sent the core combat force of the Dragon Emperor army to defeat the enemy in one go and chase them away. "You guys go ahead. I will leave first." When the person in charge of the Flame Dragon Army saw the 12 people, he seemed a little nervous. After bringing Kang Shinmu over, he quickly said a few words, then turned around and walked out of the dense forest. Chapter 4078. Little guy, don't be nervous. Just bring us over. We will protect you. One of the black-robed figures said in a hoarse voice. Yes. Kang Shinmu nodded and forced himself to calm down. After all, he had seen the Heaven Enlightening Demon Dragon before and had a powerful being like the dragon as his servant. Therefore, he was not particularly panicked when facing the terrifying auras of the 12 people. He quickly calmed down. The 12 silhouettes were slightly surprised by this. Little guy, you have a good temperament. You make me more confident in this operation. Hee hee. Another black-robed old man said in an awe-inspiring manner, lead the way. We'll go the same way as we did the previous 2 times. Just remember to dig deeper into the ice road. Don't worry, everyone. Kang Shinmu replied in a low voice. Only now did he realize that 3 li was not enough to dig the ice path deeper. Because the auras of these 12 people were too terrifying, a 3 li thick layer of ice would not be able to suppress or isolate them. Therefore, Jiang Shenwu was prepared to dig the ice layer to a depth of 5 li. That way, he would be absolutely safe. However, it would be slightly troublesome to break out of the ice. However, with the strength of the 12 people, it would not be too difficult to break through 5 kilometers of ice. Anyway, there was no need to hide when the operation was about to start. It did not matter how much of a commotion they caused. If not for the fact that they wanted to sneak up, there was no need for Kang Shinmu. The Frosty North Army and the Fire Dragon Army were about equal in strength. Therefore, with Kang Shinmu's help, they could reduce the Fire Dragon Army's losses and even win the battle. Now, let's go. With that, Kang Shinmu led the 12 black-robed figures towards the Arctic mountain range. He had originally planned on using the merit he earned to exchange for a first-grade dragon martial technique. However, since he was in a hurry, he couldn't exchange for it now. All he could do was take another 109th Firmament Demon cores from the Flame Dragon Legion. Although they had to dig a deeper ice tunnel this time, they didn't need to hide under the ice for such a long time. Therefore, if they only needed to dig an ice tunnel, 100 Yao cores would be enough. Once this mission was over, not only would Kang Shinmu obtain a massive amount of battle merit points, he would also have about 50 Heavenly Fey Beast cores left. He could swallow them in battle in the future, saving him the trouble of hunting Heavenly Fey for Beast cores. As Kang Shinmu walked alone with the 12 black-robed figures, he felt a chill. This kind of coldness was psychological, not physical. It was like a shiver that didn't run through one's body. If it was anyone else, they would probably be trembling as they walked. However, Jiang Shunwu was able to restrain the terror in his heart very well. He calmly led them to the Arctic snow mountain. Then, at a place where there was no one around, he began to dig an ice path. Seeing Kang Shinmu condense his devouring power and begin to dig an ice tunnel diagonally in the ice surface, the 12 of them looked at each other. Then, a few of them nodded slightly, as though they finally believed that Kang Shinmu could lead them into an ambush silently. Very quickly, Jiang Shenwu carved out a passageway that was long enough to accommodate the 12 figures behind him. Then, he let them sneak in and directly covered the entrance at the top of the ice passageway. This way, the 13 of them were completely surrounded by ice. Kang Shinmu was already familiar with this kind of scene. In the past month, he had spent almost all his time in this kind of scene. Therefore, even though there were more people behind him, he was not nervous. After he started to devour the ice, he became more and more familiar with the process. After 2 hours, Kang Shinmu dug to a depth of 5 miles. "Little guy, we heard that you wanted to dig 3 miles deep. We said that we wouldn't remind you to see your reaction. We didn't expect you to really dig 5 miles deep." "Not bad, not bad." The hoarse voice at the beginning was heard faintly. It seemed that he was quite satisfied with Kang Shinmu. These words made Kang Shinmu break out in a cold sweat. If he had stopped after digging 3 miles deep, it would probably make these 12 people feel that he was not smart enough, or that he was not sensitive enough to the aura of energy. No matter what, it was not a bad thing for Kang Shinmu to gain the favor of these 12 people. "Senior, you flatter me." Kang Shinmu lowered his voice and said humbly. Then, he started to devour the ice in front of him. The 12 pitch-black figures followed behind Kang Shinmu and kept moving forward in the ice tunnel. Although they were not fast, they were not in a hurry. During this process, they constantly observed Kang Shinmu's devouring power. However, they did not see anything special about his devouring power. It could only devour all kinds of energy and convert it into pure energy. Soon, they lost interest in Kang Shinmu's power. To them, the destructive power of the devouring power was too weak. It would not be of much use in battle. However, 1 or 2 of the figures seemed to have a hint of interest in their eyes through the black robes. However, they did not ask Kang Shinmu anything. After all, they knew that a person's talent was a person's secret. Even if they were much more powerful than Kang Shinmu, they were not qualified to interrogate Kang Shinmu. Most importantly, they knew that the Yen Dragon Emperor already knew about Kong Shinmu's existence and seemed to think highly of him. Therefore, the 12 of them would not cause any trouble with Kong Shinmu and did not pay much attention to Kong Shinmu's devouring power. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Within the time limit given by the Fire Dragon Army, Kong Shinmu finally dug all the way to the designated location. Although it was deeper than before, he was sure that the Beihan army was right above them. "We're here." Jiang Shenwu lowered his voice and said. Then, he retracted his devouring power and stopped devouring the layer of ice in front of him. He took out a heavenly demon elixir and began to devour the energy within it to ease his hunger. As for the 12 people's food, they would naturally take care of it themselves. There was no need for Kong Shinmu to worry about them. Otherwise, 100 heavenly demon elixirs might not be enough. If Kong Shinmu still wanted to devour the energy of the elixir and transfer it to them, they would not be able to ease their hunger easily. After all, the more powerful a dragon martial artist was, the more energy he needed to maintain his body. "Then let's wait for the signal," the old man also said in a low voice. Then, he leaned against the ice wall behind him, as if he was on guard against something. Kong Shinmu knew that they were waiting for the signal from above before they could take action. This move could be called inside attack and outside attack. However, this inside was different from ordinary inside. Chapter 4079. Kong Shinmu and the others were lying in ambush under the ice. After about 6 to 8 hours, it seemed that it was finally the appointed time. Kong Shinmu saw the eyes of the 12 figures lit up under their robes. It was obvious that the signal they had been waiting for was about to arrive. Now, the Fire Dragon Army should be confronting the Beihan Army outside, right? Once they launch an official attack, they will send a signal here. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. In such a battlefield, a small divine martial artist like Kong Shinmu would not be of any help at all. However, he secretly brought the 12 experts who could play a decisive role to the base of the Beihan army. Finally, after a few dozen breaths, a terrifying explosion was heard from above the ice, as if announcing the start of the battle between the Beihan army and the Fire Dragon army. At the same time, the 12 experts around Kong Shinmu suddenly released a terrifying aura, just like when Kong Shinmu saw the heaven-enlightening dragon for the first time, soaring in the sky and almost tearing the whole world apart. Immediately after, the 5-kilometer-deep layer of ice above Jiang Shenwu's head was completely broken under the bombardment of power from the few people around him. The layer of ice shattered, and the light in the sky completely shone down, illuminating the originally dark ice path. Then, Kong Shinmu felt himself being carried by a force and flew straight to the exit of the ice path above his head. He looked down and saw a fire dragon more than 300 feet long rushing out of the ice path with him. It suddenly flew up into the sky, and the cold wind hit him in the face. What appeared in front of Kong Shinmu was a vast base of the Beihan dragon country, but it was now in chaos. Outside the base, thousands of powerful dragon martial artists from the Fire Dragon Army were trying to break into the base, but they were stopped by the dragon martial artists from the Beihan dragon country. It seemed that the battle between the Beihan Army and the Fire Dragon Army had just begun and was in a stalemate. However, this stalemate would soon be broken. That was because the ice cave that Kong Shinmu had just flown out of was right in the center of the Beihan Army's base. At this time, from the ice cave, a continuous stream of divine dragons with terrifying auras flew out. Each of them was a heaven-defying divine dragon with a body length of more than 300 feet. These were the 12 shadows that Kong Shinmu brought here to hide in ambush. These 12 dragon warriors are all Dragon King level legacy blood essence. No wonder they look stronger than the Holy Dragon. Kong Shinmu was shocked. Dragon King. In the Dragon Prison domain and the Dragon Ice domain, there was only one dragon warrior at the same level as the Dragon King. For Kong Shinmu, Even the Dragon King or the Dragon Ice King were lofty and unreachable existences. But now, he had seen with his own eyes 12 super overlords who were at the same level as the Dragon King. Moreover, they had followed him to the base of the Beihan army. The appearance of the 12 Dragon King had obviously thrown the entire Beihan army into chaos. Since they dared to set up camp here, they had naturally been prepared. It was impossible that there were no overlords at all. The 3 Ice Dragon Kings from the Beihan Dragon Country were the commanders of the Beihan army and the 2 deputy commanders. At this moment, they all turned into divine dragons and flew into the sky with their eyes wide open. The Fire Dragon Ambassadors, and all 12 of them are here. The Yen Dragon Emperor Empire is really cunning. One of them sped toward the fire dragon that was carrying Kong Shinmu. Terrifying ice condensed into a blizzard and flew over in an instant. However, the Fire Dragon King that was carrying Kong Shinmu suddenly looked up and spat out a mouthful of flames. Explosive Flame Heaven Dragon. An angry roar. The terrifying power of the explosive flame instantly broke through the ice blizzard. At the same time, the other Fire Dragon Ambassador launched a sneak attack at the commander of the Beihan army from behind. The Mountain Stone talent power suddenly burst out, and a mountain appeared in the sky and then exploded. The terrifying destructive power immediately smashed the Ice Dragon King into the ground, creating a 2-mile-deep pit. Then, endless flames burst out from the mouth of the Fire Dragon King that was carrying Kong Shinmu and completely engulfed the Ice Dragon King that had fallen into the pit in a sea of flames. It was not until then that Kong Shinmu realized who the 12 shadows were. They were the famous Fire Dragon Ambassadors. At this moment, Kong Shinmu's eyes were filled with shock. Anyway, he didn't need to participate in this battle, so he could take a good look at the strength of the 12 Fire Dragon Ambassadors. Dragon warriors that were at the level of Dragon King could transform into a dragon. Obviously, the 12 Fire Dragon Ambassadors were all at the level of Dragon King. And the inheritance blood of Dragon King level was obtained by the Dragon Emperor. Xiao Dragon King and Dragon Ice King were all like this. After being valued by the Yen Dragon Emperor, they could be transformed from the inheritance blood of Holy Dragon level to a Dragon King. The 12 Fire Dragon Ambassadors are the guards of the Yen Dragon Emperor. I didn't expect that the Yen Dragon Emperor would directly send the Fire Dragon Ambassadors to take over the Dragon Sealing Abyss. Kong Shinmu was full of shock. He had thought that the 12 people would be the deputy commanders of the Yen Dragon Army, but it turned out that they were 12 Fire Dragon Ambassadors who were even stronger than the deputy commanders. As the guards of the Yen Dragon Emperor, the 12 Fire Dragon Ambassadors cooperated well with each other. Every 2 Yen Dragon envoys began to work in pairs to deal with the 3 commanders of the North Frost Legion, who were at the level of Dragon King. 2 against 1, it was impossible for the North Frost Legion to fight back. They would soon be buried in the ice field. The other 6 Yen Dragon envoys attacked the other dragon warriors of the Beihan army with their violent power. Among the ice divine dragons that filled the sky, there were even quite a number of Holy Dragon level powerful dragon martial artists. In the end, they were easily annihilated by the Flame Dragon envoy. The huge dragon bodies fell into the snowy ground, but no one noticed them at all. The sudden appearance of the 12 Fire Dragon Ambassadors had thrown the entire Beihan army into chaos. After the commander of the Beihan army was pinned down, more than 1,000 dragon warriors of the Beihan army fell into a state of shock. Some of them even turned around and ran away. The deserters of the Beihan army would definitely be punished by the Beihan Dragon Emperor when they returned, but it was better than dying in the hands of the Fire Dragon Ambassadors. With the participation of the Fire Dragon Ambassadors, the entire battle took less than 6 hours. By the time night fell, the entire Beihan army had suffered a great loss. At least 500 dragon warriors had died there. Chapter 4080. The large-scale battle ended in a short period of time. Kong Shinmu only watched the Inferno Divine Dragon and didn't participate in the battle. However, he had gained a lot from the battle. He had secretly brought the 12 Flame Dragon envoys to where the North Chill army was stationed. That was why the battle had ended so quickly. After you return this time, the Yen Dragon Emperor might personally reward you. Prepare yourself. The Inferno Dragon King brought Kong Shinmu to the ground and said to him in a hoarse voice. Okay. Kong Shinmu nodded. He was a little excited. Because the Dragon Emperor would reward him personally. This meant that he was one step closer to the Divine Dragon Tomb like the Dragon Emperor. Now they are checking the battlefield. We have to stay and protect the Fire Dragon army to prevent the North Chill Dragon country from counterattacking. The Inferno Dragon King said lightly, go back to Dragon Ice City by yourself. This place will soon be chaotic. I'm afraid you will be in danger if you stay here. Is it okay to go back to Dragon Ice City by yourself? Don't die on the way. No problem. Kong Shinmu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was the one who brought these 12 Flame Dragon envoys here. How could he possibly die on the way back? But no matter what, Kong Shinmu could hear the concern in the Inferno Dragon King's words. After saying goodbye to the Inferno Dragon King, he turned into a black dragon and flew toward Dragon Ice City. This kid is rising fast. He is still young and has great potential. In the future, he may become a powerful figure in the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty. It's hard to say. He is still far from being a powerful figure. However, his special talent can be useful at certain times. The other Flame Dragon envoys gathered together and looked at the back of Jiang Shenwu's black dragon flying away. Very quickly, it disappeared into the clouds. After a brief discussion, they threw themselves into the tent's defense work. They had just occupied the vicinity of the sealed dragon abyss, and the next phase was the most serious. There really is a mysterious power in this place, and it's causing the power in our bodies to continuously increase. Very quickly, the dragon warriors of the Flame Dragon Legion who occupied this place all discovered this. They approached the spectacular dragon sealing abyss, but they didn't dare to get too close. They discovered that there was a mysterious power entering their bodies, causing their talents and other abilities to increase rapidly. Of course, this speed was relative to his usual training speed. They felt that as long as they stayed in this place for 3 days, their strength would increase by at least 10%. No wonder the people of the Northern Chill Dragon country attach so much importance to this place. They even went as far as to conceal it and invade the Dragon Ice domain. The people in charge of the Fire Dragon army looked at each other. They knew that this was an extremely important place. As long as they completely occupied this place, it would have an extremely shocking effect on the entire Fire Dragon Emperor dynasty. If they could maintain the mysterious power of the sealed dragon abyss for their own use, in less than 10 years, the overall strength of the Fire Dragon Emperor dynasty would completely surpass that of the Northern Chill Dragon country. Presumably, the Northern Chill Dragon country had thought so before. Unfortunately, Kong Shinmu found out about it and captured all the Northern Chill Dragon army stationed in the sealed dragon abyss. If not for Kong Shinmu, it would have taken the Fire Dragon army at least more than a month to find out about the situation here. They might not even have found out after a month, which would have led to the Fire Dragon army firmly occupying this place. The Northern Chill Dragon army would have formed some Divine Dragon Dharma arrays. Once they succeeded, it wouldn't be as easy for them to occupy this place again. Even with the help of the Flame Dragon envoys, the difficulty would be more than 10 times higher. Now, some of the Divine Dragon Dharma arrays of the Northern Chill Dragon army hadn't been completed yet, so they easily occupied the territory around the sealed dragon abyss. As for the aftermath of the fight for the sealed dragon abyss, Kong Shinmu didn't have time to care about it. Even though he was quite concerned about this matter, if the Fire Dragon Emperor dynasty occupied the sealed dragon abyss, it would be easier for him to go to the sealed dragon abyss to rescue his father in the future. But even if they didn't, it didn't matter. Anyway, neither the Northern Chill Dragon Country nor the Fire Dragon Emperor dynasty had the power to break into the sealed dragon abyss and do anything. Once they broke in, even if it was the Northern Chill Dragon Emperor or the Fire Dragon Emperor dynasty, they would be completely sealed in the sealed dragon abyss and die inside. What Kang Shinmu cared about now was the huge number of battle points he had obtained in this series of actions. These points were enough for him to greatly improve his strength, and even for Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue to reach a higher level. It only took Kang Shinmu a few hours to fly back from the sky to Dragon Ice City. If he had to dig an ice tunnel through the layer of ice, it would take at least 2 to 3 days. Soon, he saw the silhouette of Dragon Ice City in the distance. At this moment, Dragon Ice City was fully mobilized. Ever since they discovered the true purpose of the Northern Chill Dragon Country, the dragon martial artists of Dragon Ice City no longer went out to kill the dragon martial artists of the Northern Chill Dragon Country. Instead, they were gathered by the Fire Dragon Army and prepared to head to the vicinity of the Sealed Dragon Abyss. They would rely on the mysterious power of the Sealed Dragon Abyss to improve their strength while defending the Sealed Dragon Abyss. When Kang Shinmu returned, a team of dragon martial artists flew out from Dragon Ice City and rushed in the direction of the Sealed Dragon Abyss. Presumably, the Northern Chill Dragon Country was gathering dragon martial artists like the Fire Dragon Emperor dynasty and wanted to take back the Sealed Dragon Abyss. After this, Kang Shinmu wouldn't be able to help much. But in the process of taking back the Sealed Dragon Abyss, his contribution was definitely in the top 3. With so many merit points, I can totally choose a first-grade dragon martial technique. As for the rest, it's not even enough to exchange for a second first-grade dragon martial technique, not to mention a heaven-level dragon weapon. Kang Shinmu shook his head. Although he had obtained so many merit points, he was still thinking about getting a first-grade dragon martial technique. Of course, although it was only a difference of 1 grade, the difference between a first-grade dragon martial technique and a second-grade dragon martial technique was like heaven and earth. Both were attacking dragon martial techniques, but the attacking power of a first-grade dragon martial technique was definitely more than twice that of a second-grade dragon martial technique. Now, Kang Shinmu no longer relied on the devouring power to exhaust his opponents. Since that was the case, it was time to cultivate a first-grade attack-type dragon martial technique. In addition, the merit points needed to exchange for a first-grade body-tempering dragon martial technique was relatively low. Kang Shinmu was prepared to go back and see if he could choose a suitable one. After all, the innate ability in his body was the power of devouring. It was very obvious that the body-refining type dragon martial skill was more suitable for his fighting style. Once his fleshly body was so strong that no one could break it, he would be a completely invincible existence. Chapter 4081. Soon, Kang Shinmu returned to the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire's encampment in Dragon Ice City. This was where he had fought with Xia Yueyin of the Xia family. But now, Xia Yueyin had been escorted to Yen Dragon Emperor City. At this moment, he was most likely dead. Until now, there had been no news of Xia Yan being rescued, so Kang Shinmu was relieved. Because of what had happened in the Sealed Dragon Abyss, it was normal that the Northern Chill Dragon Country had no intention of rescuing Xia Yan. After all, he was just a divine dragon, which was certainly nothing to the Northern Chill Dragon Emperor. If he was at the level of the Dragon King, perhaps the Northern Chill Dragon Country would pay more attention. Unfortunately, Xia Yan was just an inheritor of the divine dragon level. In the Dragon Ice domain and the Dragon Prison domain, there were several of them, so he was not particularly precious. Then, Kang Shinmu found Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue and brought them to the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire's encampment in Dragon Ice City. He was going to use his battle achievements to choose something that would make him stronger. Because the first exploration of the Northern Chill Army's encampment near the sealed Dragon Abyss had been with the three of them, Jiang Liuxue and Shi Yueying had also obtained a lot of battle achievements. Although they were not as many as Kang Xinmu's, they were still quite a lot. At least, it was enough for them to choose something they wanted. For example, second-grade dragon martial skills. They were going to choose a second-grade dragon martial skill each and use the rest to exchange for cultivation elixirs to increase their cultivation speed as soon as possible. Therefore, after Kang Xinmu entered the Yen Dragon Army's encampment, he separated from them. The first-grade dragon martial skills that Kang Xinmu wanted to choose were not on the same floor as what they needed. A person in charge of the Yen Dragon Army led Kang Xinmu upstairs. The person in charge was the one who had supervised the duel between Jiang Shenwu and Xia Yueyin. He was also the one who had received Jiang Shenwu and listened to the news Jiang Shenwu brought back. His name was Tu Yeni, a super overlord who was equivalent to a dragon king. In the Yen Dragon Army's Dragon Ice City, there were only 2 experts of this level in charge. Tu Yeni was one of them. Kang Xinmu, my little friend, this time, because I was the one who took care of everything about you, you have made a great contribution, so I have also made a great contribution. You have a chance to enter the Fire Dragon's sacred tower to cultivate. My strength will increase soon. Tu Yeni did not have any special feelings for Kang Xinmu at first. But now, he was extremely grateful to him. The reason was because he had made a great contribution because of Kang Xinmu. After all, he had discovered a young man like Kang Xinmu and put Kang Xinmu in an important position. That was why the Yen Dragon Emperor had found out the true goal of the Northern Chill Dragon country so quickly and seized the dragon sealing abyss in the shortest time possible. Kang Xinmu was not the only one who had contributed to this. Congratulations, senior. Kang Xinmu said humbly. Tu Yeni had gotten a chance to improve because of him, which was naturally a good thing for him. After all, this way, Tu Yeni would be grateful to him. No matter how grateful Tu Yeni was, at least it would make Tu Yeni treat him better. If he encountered any problems in the future, he might be able to ask for Tu Yeni's help. Alright, this is where the Grade 1 Dragon martial skills are stored. For the sake of this battle with the Northern Chill Dragon country, we have prepared a total of 20 Grade 1 Dragon martial skills. Unfortunately, until now, not a single one of them has been exchanged. You are the first person to step into this place. Tu Yeni said to Kang Xinmu as he opened the door of the room in front of him. As soon as the door opened, Kang Xinmu felt a vast and ancient aura rushing towards him. There were many scrolls on the bookshelves in the room. Every scroll had an extremely ancient aura on it. These auras all announced that these scrolls were extremely powerful existences. This is where the Grade 1 Dragon martial skills are kept. Kang Xinmu's heart skipped a beat. The entire room was filled with an ancient aura, which made him feel as if he had returned to the ancient times. Why is there such an ancient aura? Kang Xinmu could not help but ask. Grade 1 Dragon martial skills were passed down by the ancient dragon martial artists. Its power far surpasses the dragon martial skills that we have created. Tu Yen had a look of reverence on his face. The dragon martial skills that we can create now are at most Grade 2 Dragon martial skills. Only Grade 1 Dragon martial skills are not something that we can create. They can only be passed down to the ancient dragon martial warriors. These Grade 1 Dragon martial skills were also passed down from generation to generation. Unfortunately, many of them were lost in the process of being passed down. Lost? Kang Xinmu was a little surprised. That's right. It's a Grade 1 Dragon martial skill. To cultivate it to the Heaven grade and record the complete cultivation process is not that easy. Even if it's a Dragon Emperor level dragon martial artist, I'm afraid it would take them tens of years to cultivate it. Tu Yeni said solemnly, therefore, if you are unable to cultivate a Grade 1 Dragon martial skill to the Heaven level, you will not be able to make a copy of it for others to cultivate. I understand. Kang Xinmu nodded silently. He stepped into the room and began to choose. In the entire Dragon Emperor dynasty, there were only a limited number of people who had cultivated a grade 1 dragon martial skill. Not to mention, one had to cultivate it to the heaven level before they could make a copy of the dragon martial skill for others to cultivate. If I could obtain a grade 1 dragon martial skill and cultivate it to the heaven level, wouldn't I be able to make a copy of the dragon martial skill and let others cultivate it? Kang Xinmu suddenly thought of something and shook his head. However, even a dragon martial artist at the level of the Dragon Emperor would need tens of years to cultivate a grade 1 dragon martial skill to the heaven level. If it were me, I don't know how many years it would take. He saw the first dragon martial skill. It was a defensive type dragon martial skill, but it was not very useful for Kang Xinmu. Now that he had cultivated the dragon martial god's shield, the defensive ability of this grade 2 dragon martial skill was strong enough. There was no need to cultivate anything else. Most importantly, Kang Xinmu planned to cultivate a grade 1 body refining dragon martial skill. This way, he would not need to worry about defense. Therefore, there was no need to choose a defensive type dragon martial skill. He continued to walk down the room and chose a void dragon sky raising break from the few dragon martial skills. This first grade dragon martial skill was a technique that would condense the silhouette of a divine dragon that would descend from the sky, shatter the dome of the sky, and tear the opponent apart. It was perfect for Jiang Xinwu, because as long as he could leave a wound on his opponent's body, he could rely on the devouring power to gradually erode his opponent, and obtain the final victory. Moreover, the power of a grade 1 dragon martial skill was beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Chapter 4082. This is it, Void Dragon raises the sky. Very quickly, Jiang Xinwu chose the attack-type dragon martial technique. Then, he took down the scroll and kept it in his bosom. This grade 1 dragon martial skill is a unique dragon martial skill of our Yan Dragon Emperor dynasty. It is not like other dragon martial skills that are cultivated and passed down in the northern Chill Dragon country and other countries. After all, these are ancient dragon martial skills. The history of our Yan Dragon Emperor dynasty is not as long as these dragon martial skills. Tu Yenny smiled and said, "Can I choose another grade 1 dragon martial skill with my remaining merit points?" Kang Xinmu looked around the room and asked. If it is a normal dragon martial skill, it is naturally not enough. Tu Yenny frowned and said, "There is only a grade 1 dragon martial skill in this room. The only one you can exchange for is the body refining dragon martial skill. However, the body refining dragon martial skill is useless. Rather than choosing the body refining dragon martial skill, you might as well choose 2 grade 2 dragon martial skills." There really is a body tempering dragon martial skill? Jiang Xinwu's eyes immediately lit up. Originally, he did not hold much hope. After all, these dragon martial skills had to be cultivated to the heaven tier before they could be passed down. And in the current trendy environment, there was basically no one who cultivated the body refining dragon martial skills. Therefore, his hopes were shattered when he stepped into this room. He did not expect Tu Yenny to tell him that there really was a body tempering dragon martial skill. That's right. However, this first grade body tempering dragon martial skill will clear all of your merit points. Tu Yenny shook his head. Recently, our Yan Dragon Emperor dynasty did not cultivate the body tempering dragon martial skill. This chaotic dragon body is also occasionally passed down from other countries. If you can cultivate it to the heaven rank, you can pass it down, but, even if it is passed down, it is useless, because no one will choose to cultivate it. Therefore, the merit points needed to exchange for this dragon martial skill is less than half of the other grade 1 dragon martial skills. Hearing this, Kang Xinmu nodded his head, but his thoughts did not change. It's fine, I'll choose this dragon body tempering technique. It's called chaotic dragon body, right? It sounds like it's very powerful. If one can successfully cultivate it, it will naturally be very strong. But to be honest, this thing's effect is about the same as a grade 1 defensive dragon martial skill. The main thing is that it is too painful to cultivate. Normal people would not be able to endure it. Even if one successfully cultivates it, it would be extremely difficult to break through to a higher stage. Tu Yan-yi continued to persuade Kang Xinmu, in my opinion, you should choose 2 grade 2 dragon martial techniques. It is much better than choosing this chaotic dragon body. No, I'll choose this one. It suits my talent better. Moreover, the difficulty of cultivating it is not too high for me. Kang Xinmu quickly found the chaotic dragon body book in the corner of the room. After looking at it, he kept it in his bosom. Once these grade 1 dragon martial techniques books were opened, the contents would flow into the owner's mind, allowing the owner to know how to cultivate it. After that, the book would lose its effect. Therefore, Kang Xinmu had not opened it yet. He wanted to wait until he returned before cultivating it. Sai, that's right. Your talent is a little different from others. You should be the one who knows best what type of dragon martial skill to unleash the strongest battle power. Ha! Tu Yanyi first sighed, then smiled and dispelled the thought of continuing to persuade Kang Xinmu. Since that is the case, I will take my leave first. Kang Xinmu obtained 2 grade 1 dragon martial techniques and was very satisfied. He knew that these were the strongest dragon martial skills in the world, inherited from ancient dragon martial artists. Once he succeeded in cultivating them, his strength would rise to a higher level and reach a more terrifying level than before. However, it had been more than a month since he went back to the heaven-opening demon realm. It was time to go back and try to absorb some heavenly treasures to see if he could break through to the 9th level of the divine martial realm. Once he reached this level, it was time for Kang Xinmu to prepare to deal with the Nirvana Tribulation. Not everyone could cross the Nirvana Tribulation and step into the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Once they could not cross the Nirvana Tribulation, the dragon martial artist would lose the divine dragon blood in their body and become an ordinary person. They might even die in the Nirvana Tribulation. Therefore, the number of dragon martial artists in the Nirvana Tribulation realm was so small. Only by truly reaching the Nirvana Tribulation realm could a dragon martial artist be qualified to step onto the stage of a real dragon martial artist. Only then could they be considered to have truly come into contact with the super strong power that a dragon martial artist could unleash. In the divine martial realm, dragon martial artists mainly used their talent power. The talent power of each dragon martial artist was different. After the Nirvana Tribulation realm, every dragon martial artist could comprehend a type of Nirvana power from the Nirvana Tribulation. The Nirvana power that every dragon martial artist comprehended was different. The power of Nirvana force far surpassed the power of talent. Of course, for a freak like Kang Xinmu, even if he was at the divine martial realm, he would not be afraid to deal with a Nirvana Tribulation realm opponent. Dozens of Nirvana Tribulation realm dragon martial artists from the northern Chill Dragon country had died in the hands of Kang Xinmu. This was all because of the terrifying effect of the devouring power. It was not something that an ordinary dragon martial artist could resist. After leaving the Flame Dragon Army's encampment, Kang Xinmu returned to the inn with the 2 girls. Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue each chose a 2nd grade dragon martial technique. Shi Yueying chose a defensive dragon martial technique, while Jiang Liuxue chose a special dragon martial technique. Flame Heart Blood Coagulation? What kind of dragon martial technique is this? What is its use? Kang Xinmu asked curiously. This is a dragon martial skill that can stimulate the potential of the body, and it is even useful when cultivating. It can increase the comprehension of the dragon martial skill, making it easier to cultivate other dragon martial skills, and during battle, it can also erupt with all of one's strength, allowing one to unleash the strongest power with every attack. Jiang Liuxue explained. I see. Kang Xinmu nodded. He did not expect such a dragon martial technique to exist in this world. This dragon martial technique was a second-grade dragon martial technique. Presumably, when it was activated, it would have a terrifying effect in battle. If it was cultivated to a higher level, it might be able to double the strength of a martial artist. Therefore, this dragon martial technique is also known as the counterattack technique among dragon martial artists. Sometimes, when facing someone stronger than you, you can use this dragon martial technique to defeat them. Jiang Liuxue continued, then turned to look at Kang Xinmu. Kang Xinmu, what about you? What grade dragon martial technique did you choose? Void dragon raises the sky. If I can successfully cultivate it, it should be quite powerful. However, I don't have time to cultivate it for now. There is something I need to do first. I have to leave for 7 days. After 7 days, I will return. At that time, I will need to trouble you to help me cultivate a body-tempering dragon martial technique. Chapter 4083. After bidding farewell to the two girls, Kang Xinmu went to the outskirts of Dragon Ice City, found an extremely remote place, and started to dig out from under the layer of ice. He did not dare to activate the blood-red dragon scale on the surface, and let the Heaven Awakening Siren Dragon send him into the Heaven Awakening Demon Realm. After this, Kang Xinmu had enough reason to believe that the Yen Dragon Emperor would definitely keep a certain level of surveillance on him. If he only found a remote place to activate the dragon scale, and let the Heaven Awakening Siren Dragon open the door of time and space, he would probably be discovered by the Yen Dragon army. Therefore, he chose to dig an ice tunnel, and released the power of the dragon scale a few miles below the layer of ice, and let the Heaven Awakening Siren Dragon open the door of time and space. This time, after Kang Xinmu dug the ice tunnel, he quickly filled up the entrance behind him. Then, he turned left and right under the layer of ice, with no goal to speak of. He kept swaying, and very soon, he was 4 to 5 miles below the layer of ice, and was already very far away from the place where he had dug into the layer of ice. Even if 12 dragon warriors of the level of flame dragon envoys appeared, it would still take them a long time to break through the ice and find him. Furthermore, he believed that the flame dragon army would not make too much of a ruckus to track him down. But to be safe, he continued to dig deeper into the layer of ice, and his devouring power continued to devour the layer of ice along the way. After about a day, he first dug about 7 to 8 miles, and dug through the layer of ice. Below was no longer ice, but hard rock, which made his digging speed significantly slower. However, after digging down for another 2 li, Jiang Xinwu discovered that he had actually dug through the rock stratum. His entire body fell from the rock stratum and landed in a flaming passageway full of lava. If an ordinary person came here, they would probably be roasted in an instant. But Kang Xinmu instantly condensed a purple magic crystal on the surface of his body, and with the dragon-grade halberd of the Heavenly Saint, he emitted a golden glow to protect himself, and thus isolated the lava. Even the lava that could melt metal could not harm Kang Xinmu at all. In fact, Kang Xinmu could even devour the power of the magma to increase his resistance to the power of fire. They definitely won't be able to find us here. Kang Xinmu relaxed. He transformed into his divine dragon form and drifted along the magma. Very quickly, he had traveled dozens of miles. If the people from the Yen Dragon army could still find him like this, then he could only resign himself to fate. Then, he activated the blood-red dragon scale, and the Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon of the Heaven Awakening Demon Realm sensed the message he sent out. A spatial gate was formed at the location of the dragon scale. Once this spatial gate appeared, it immediately swallowed all the surrounding magma. Endless magma passed through the spatial gate and flowed into the heaven-opening demon realm. Master, what are you doing? In the heaven-opening demon realm, the heaven-opening demon dragon had created a spatial gate in his palace. However, as soon as the spatial gate was formed, streams of magma flowed in. His expression changed drastically. He quickly activated his blood-red talent, Nirvana, to isolate the surroundings of the spatial gate. This was to prevent the constant influx of magma from devouring and melting the palace he was in. Soon after, the pitch-black divine dragon that Jiang Shenwu had transformed into appeared from the gate of time and space. Soon, he arrived at the Heaven Awakening Devil Dragon's palace and was sent out from the isolated space by the Heaven Awakening Devil Dragon. I've done some things. Now, I might be targeted by the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, so I can only go underground and contact you. Kang Shinmu calmly returned to his human form and glanced at the heaven-opening demon dragon. I see. The heaven-opening demon dragon heaved a sigh of relief. He had thought that Kang Shinmu was being hunted again and wanted him to leave the spatial gate to deal with it. Although this was nothing to him, leaving the heaven-opening demon realm was still a relatively dangerous thing for him. His aura was too strong. Once he appeared in a crowded place, he would definitely be discovered. Previously, he was on the ice field near the Sealing Dragon Abyss. There was no one within 100 miles, so he was naturally fine. However, it was impossible for him to be in such a desolate place every time. Very quickly, Kang Shinmu told the heaven-opening demon dragon what had happened during this period of time. The heaven-opening demon dragon had an incredulous expression on his face. My lord, are you saying that the mysterious power of the Sealing Dragon Abyss can actually make dragon martial artists stronger? That's right. Although I don't know what's going on, this is the truth. Even I have been affected by the mysterious power. My talent has increased by 20%. I'm much stronger than before. Kang Shinmu nodded and said, however, you don't have to worry about this matter. Bring me the treasures that you've collected during this period of time. The heaven-opening demon dragon said, yes, my lord. He turned around to bring the treasures over. Kang Shinmu rested temporarily in the heaven-opening demon dragon's palace. He stood on the highest balcony of the palace and looked outside. What he saw was a dense green forest. In the entire heaven-opening demon realm, there were not many palace buildings. The heaven-opening demon dragon's palace could be said to be the most conspicuous existence in the deep mountains and forests of the heaven-opening demon realm. Very quickly, the heaven-opening demon dragon brought over the treasures that he had collected over the past month. During this period of time, he had to go to relatively far places to collect treasures. However, the entire heaven-opening demon realm was vast. The treasures that were close to him had been collected, and there were still those that were far away. As long as he did not leave the boundaries of the heaven-opening demon realm, there would be no problem at all. Therefore, Kang Shinmu obtained a large number of treasures. However, if he wanted to step into the 9th level of the divine martial realm from the 8th level of the divine martial realm, he needed more than just treasures of heaven and earth. Therefore, even if he swallowed and absorbed all these treasures of heaven and earth, Kang Shinmu might not necessarily be able to break through to the 9th level of the divine martial realm. At most, he should reach the peak of the 8th level of the divine martial realm like last time. He still needed some other stimulation to really break through to the peak of the divine martial realm and reach the 9th level. In any case, he had to swallow these treasures of heaven and earth. Only in this way could he quickly touch the bottleneck and have a chance to break through to the 9th level of the divine martial realm at the critical moment. As for the Nirvana Tribulation realm, he could only wait. Oh, heaven-opening demon dragon, after a few days, you don't have to look for treasures of heaven and earth. While swallowing these treasures of heaven and earth, Kang Shinmu instructed the heaven-opening demon dragon, when I finish swallowing these treasures of heaven and earth, you will assist me in practicing the body-refining dragon martial technique, the chaotic dragon body. In other words, let you seriously injure me, and then I will recover. This is the fastest way to practice the body-refining dragon martial technique. Chaotic dragon body. Chapter 4084. Kang Shinmu did not expect that even the heaven-opening devil dragon would be so interested in a first-grade dragon martial skill. It seemed that the power of a first-grade dragon martial skill was indeed much higher than other dragon martial skills. Grade 1 dragon martial skills are all dragon martial skills executed by the Origin Divine Dragons. In reality, in the eyes of the Origin Divine Dragons, the Grade 1 dragon martial skills in our martial dragon continent are the weakest Origin dragon martial skills. But even so, it is still much stronger than all the other dragon martial skills in the martial dragon continent. The heaven-opening devil dragon continued with a serious expression, "There are not many Origin dragon martial skills in our martial dragon continent. The chaotic dragon body is one of them." Apart from the Origin dragon martial skill, the other dragon martial skills from the second grade onwards were all created by the dragon martial artists of the dragon martial continent. Their might is far from being comparable to the Origin dragon martial skill. On the martial dragon continent, to be able to cultivate an Origin dragon martial skill, which is a first-grade dragon martial skill, means that you have come into contact with the Origin Divine Dragon, the highest level of existence. Do you know how many people in the entire Yen Dragon Emperor's empire were able to cultivate an Origin dragon martial skill to the heaven level and leave behind a book? I don't know. Kang Shinmu shook his head. There are 4 people in the Yen Dragon Emperor's empire. There are 3 in the northern Chill Dragon country. The heaven-opening devil dragon lowered his voice and said, "Therefore, these first-grade dragon martial skills can only be obtained by the most important people in the Yen Dragon Emperor's empire. My lord, it seems that you have made a great contribution this time. And after you return, it is very likely that the Yen Dragon Emperor will personally summon you after this war is over. Between you and the Yen Dragon Emperor, who is stronger?" Kang Shinmu thought for a while and asked this question. "Naturally, I am stronger." The heaven-opening devil dragon snorted, as if he did not care about the Yen Dragon Emperor at all. Although the Yen Dragon Emperor is a dragon martial artist at the Dragon Emperor level, he is not at the top of the Dragon Emperor level. He is no match for me. He and the Northern Chill Dragon Emperor are about the same in terms of strength. They are just 2 small fellows in the martial dragon continent. Is that so? Kang Shinmu narrowed his eyes but did not say anything. The Flame Dragon Dynasty and the Northern Chill Dragon Nation that he had come into contact with were both rather strong. Furthermore, he had not heard of any other dragon martial nation in the vicinity. Of course, it was also very likely that the Yen Dragon Emperor's empire would not spread the news of other dragon martial artist countries. Take the Heaven Awakening Demon Realm for example. If Jiang Shenwu had not encountered the Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon, he would not have known about the Heaven Awakening Demon Realm. Furthermore, the Heaven Awakening Demon Realm was not the only demon realm. Including the Heaven Awakening Demon Realm, many demon realms were important factions in the martial dragon continent. Their strength was not inferior to the Fire Dragon Dynasty, the Northern Chill Dragon Nation, and other demon realms. To be honest, the dragon martial artist that I am afraid of is not the Northern Chill Dragon country or the Yen Dragon Emperor's empire, but another neighboring big country, the Desolate God Dragon country. The Emperor of the Desolate God Dragon country, the Desolate God Dragon Emperor, is much stronger than the Yen Dragon Emperor and the Northern Chill Dragon Emperor. Even if the 2 of them work together, they might not be a match for the Desolate God Dragon Emperor. From the tone of the heaven-opening devil dragon, he seemed to have a little bit of disdain for the Yen Dragon Emperor. However, Kang Shinmu was very clear that if the heaven-opening devil dragon fought against the Yen Dragon Emperor, he might not win so easily. He was very clear that the strength of the 12 Yen Dragon envoys was much stronger than the heaven-opening devil dragon. If this heaven-awakening rogue dragon didn't have any hidden powers, then this guy was just bragging to increase his value. Kang Shinmu was very clear that the heaven-opening devil dragon treated him like this and treated him as his master because of the mysterious black dragon's consciousness in his body. The heaven-opening devil dragon should be very clear that the black dragon's consciousness was an existence that surpassed this martial dragon continent. Master, you should cultivate first. Regarding the cultivation of the chaotic dragon body, you still need some special materials. I will go and collect them for you during this period of time. After the heaven-opening devil dragon said this to Kong Shinmu, he bowed and left. This made Kong Shinmu a little curious. To cultivate the chaotic dragon body, didn't it need to be like other body-refining dragon martial techniques? Didn't it need some special materials to cultivate it directly? He thought for a while, then took out the chaotic dragon body dragon martial technique from his bosom. In the outside world, no one knew that this was the origin dragon martial technique. They only knew that it was the strongest first-grade dragon martial technique. Kong Shinmu met the heaven-opening devil dragon, so he learned about the origin dragon martial technique. It turned out that it was a dragon martial technique passed down by the origin divine dragons outside the martial dragon continent. The Yen Dragon Army's 2 Yenni's explanation was that this was a dragon martial technique passed down by ancient dragon martial artists. Comparing the two, Kong Shinmu naturally believed the heaven-opening devil dragon's words more. After all, now that Kong Shinmu had entered the sealed dragon abyss, he clearly knew that the martial dragon continent was indeed not the origin of all dragon martial artists. In fact, the martial dragon continent was just a continent that had coincidentally obtained the origin divine dragon's blessing. On the martial dragon continent, there was not even a single origin divine dragon's existence. All dragon martial artists obtained the divine dragon's blood essence, so they could obtain the power of dragon martial artists. Kong Shinmu opened the book. Very quickly, the cultivation method of the chaotic dragon body poured into Kong Shinmu's mind from the book, causing him to frown slightly. Sure enough, in order to cultivate the chaotic dragon body, at least 13 kinds of precious and special heavenly treasures had to be combined into a body-tempering potion. Then, a dragon warrior would soak in such a body-tempering potion. The stronger the medicinal properties of the body-tempering potion, the better the effect of the newly cultivated chaotic dragon body. If one wanted to truly cultivate the tyrannical chaotic dragon body, he definitely could not use ordinary treasures of heaven and earth to refine body-refining medicine. This chaotic dragon body is a dragon martial technique that belongs to the origin divine dragon. Is it possible to find the treasures of heaven and earth used by the origin divine dragon in the martial dragon continent? Kong Shinmu had some doubts about this, but there was nothing he could do at the moment. Among the levels that he could come into contact with, the heaven awakening devil dragon was already the strongest. The treasures of heaven and earth that the heaven awakening devil dragon could obtain were the best that Kong Shinmu could obtain at the moment. If Kong Shinmu wanted better things, he would have to leave the martial dragon continent. But there was no doubt that this was completely impossible at the current stage. In other words, if he cultivated the chaotic dragon body now, he might not be able to successfully cultivate the strongest chaotic dragon body. After all, his current conditions were limited, and he could not obtain better treasures of heaven and earth. Fortunately, during the process of cultivating the chaotic dragon body, if he obtained other body-refining treasures of heaven and earth in the future, he could still merge them and devour them. This way, his chaotic dragon body would reach a higher level. Because of this, Kong Shinmu was not too conflicted. No matter what, he had to succeed in cultivating the chaotic dragon body first. If he obtained more precious treasures of heaven and earth in the future, devouring them to refine his body would be the same. It was just that the effects of cultivating the chaotic dragon body in the early stages would not be as strong as the origin divine dragons.